Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
So what you're saying is, if I take my Meatless Monday pizza from Panago Pizza and I put it on waivers and Jesse claims it with my Beyond Meat Spicy Calabrese, right? So
Yes.
Jesse claims that because he puts in a claim. I can reclaim my pizza back from Jesse because there's takesies, backsies in the MLB. And then I'd have to work out a trade wherein Jesse would have to trade me half of his Hawaiian pizza or something like that.
Kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
How,
I need Jesse is my baseball translator.
because it's Meatless Monday.
Yes.
And we're talking about a Blue Jay that just got claimed. But
Freddie Galvis.
So he's on waivers.
Yeah.
But then the Jays are like, but no.
Oh, but wait a sec. We need to baby this a little bit.
Yeah.
This isn't nearly complicated enough. So Jesse, please explain.
So in baseball, there's a thing called the trade deadline.
Yes.
But in baseball, because it's baseball, they also have a non-waiver trade deadline.
Wasn't that synced up with the trade deadline this year?
Next year, this weird thing will be gone. Because they're having one solid trade deadline. But still, the old rules, this is the last year that will be in place, and August 31st is the non-waiver trade deadline. Meaning that if you clear waivers, then you can be traded freely like a player.
So, in theory,
Yes.
the player that could get the World Series winning home run can be acquired after the trade deadline.
After one of the trade deadlines.
After one
There's
of the
a second
trade-
trade deadline. That also exists, which is the 31st. When after the 31st, then you're not allowed to make any trades.
Wait, are you sure?
Yeah.
Damn.
Beba.
What a nutty
Unless
sport.
I'm pretty sure it didn't switch this year.
Did it? I don't know. Well, I guess
No.
we'll find out. It was just looks like Freddie Galvis was just claimed, and we can update that as we go.
Yeah, but so in August, everybody on the roster is kind of on waivers because in baseball you have revocable waivers. So if somebody gets claimed, you can revoke them and take them back. So
You can go, no.
Yeah, if somebody
But I
gets
didn't
claimed, you
mean
can
it.
be like, hey, I don't want them to go to that team. We're going to keep them, and then they have to stay with your major league club, and they can't go down.
That is beyond confusing.
Yeah.
Adam, what should I have to alleviate my beyond confusion?
Well, I would say some Beyond Meat, Steve.
Wow.
If you go to panago.com, very easy. Italian sausage crumble is what I'd go for. Because Steve, I would describe you as an Italian sausage crumbling after Game 7 against Boston
Oh
this year.
my God! Why? What would you? Well, I was feeling pretty spicy that night. I was feeling very, very spicy. You know what? I would talk about that. I would talk about that game for an hour, just for the ability to talk about hockey.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, well, listen, you can get a whole bunch of Beyond Meat pizzas, including the plant-based spicy Hawaiian with sweet and tropical sauce, meat-free pepperoni, hot banana peppers, jalapeno peppers, chili flakes, pineapples, and, of course, dairy-free Daya cheese. Personal pizza, only $7.50. Panago.com. Order yours today and try it out. It's summer.
You just listed two kinds of peppers I actually eat.
There you go. Yeah, because that is confusing for people. They don't. I think when we say you don't eat peppers, people don't realize
understand.
it's red, yellow, and green, basically,
Yeah,
right?
They think I'm one of those guys who thinks ketchup is spicy.
Yes.
No.
And you like jalapeno peppers.
I love all hot things. I can't do bell peppers.
That's so interesting. They're in the
Don't-
family.
Don't know what it is.
They're like your Uncle Rocky,
They are like my Uncle Rocky.
but not the
Rocco.
same. Just not the same.
Yeah, and Leonardo. I got half the Ninja Turtles in my uncles. No Donatello, no Raphael.
Not yet. Never
Oh, wait, no.
underestimate.
Who am I confusing?
Somebody will be related to somebody else named near marriage.
My
with marriage.
no is Raphael.
Oh, okay.
So he's the red one. Leonardo's the blue one. So I got him. Oh, there was no Rocky. Who?
No.
Oh, Michelangelo and Donatello.
Right.
That's
They were the famous painters and philosophers.
so I got to have two sons. Complete the set.
Also, an FYI, the non-waiver waiver trade deadline rule was implemented this year.
Oh, it was.
So
Okay.
in August this year, that's the old rule of last year of how it worked and previous year.
So now you
but
lose
waivers still exist. So Blue Jays just lost a player on waivers.
So they lost Freddie Galvis.
He's just gone.
He's just gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
That's interesting.
But yeah, no more trades anymore in August. Okay. No more funny trades. That's
know-
how Josh Donaldson was traded last year.
Right.
He was an August move, a non-waiver trade deadline move, because he was put on waivers and somebody claimed him, and then they made the trade, or he either went through waivers and passed through, and then he's free to trade with anybody. So it was either one or the other round.
God.
But yeah,
you always wonder
stupid.
how rules develop. That's like
Who came up with that?
Well, I wonder because it couldn't have started that way, right? I feel like the waiver thing would have started even before the trade deadline, because there was a time when trades were not trades; players were bought and sold. Mm-hmm. That was hockey. That was basketball. That was baseball.
Like how football still works in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And then it got. I think it got to the point where they were like, "Well, why don't we just trade bodies or something like that rather than money?" And I wonder how that rule would have developed over the. I'm sure there's some stupid old like Grantland 50,000 word piece on how that developed somewhere back in the annals, but
Some SB Nation YouTube video that's 45 minutes.
Crazy thing. But baseball is so old that a lot of the weirdness about baseball is that it's so old.
It's got something to do with the penny farthing. They came up with the rule while riding one of those giant one-wheeled bicycles with the big wheel at the front.
What's the penny farthing?
It's the giant the bicycle with the
Is that what
big
they're
wheel
called?
at the front. I think it's called a penny farthing.
Wow.
That's one of
That's
the
a two-
most interesting things I know.
Too complicated word for that contraption.
And yet,
The bike?
perfect for the time.
You mean a bicycle?
You know what?
No, a penny farthing.
No, it's just not a big wheel. It's a penny farthing.
Yeah. Okay, picture a bicycle.
Yeah.
No, picture a penny farthing. Two different things, aren't they? You bet. Steve is right.
True.
Steve is right. Steve is right.
Now, Steve,
been
I'm not
talking
sure.
tennis
You
all
did the
morning.
fan morning show this morning, and I know that there was so much hockey to talk about.
Oh my God.
Did you talk about hockey at all? Was there any hockey topics on the
I accidentally referred to the Jays as the Leafs once, and I'm sure that went over very well. I think it was sprinkled in. No, we didn't get into any news.
That's interesting.
Tomorrow we're going to try. There was a big tennis story in Canada. I don't even know if it made a single ripple in the States.
Well, we
did.
talked about it this
Because it
morning.
involves Serena Williams.
Sure,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's
we talked
true.
about it this morning here on Virgin too.
Wow, it's just such
Big
a
deal.
crappy way to win, but like she won.
There's also no other news, so
Yeah.
if you're looking for a sports
You know,
story,
and that-
you
I'm
got
going
to
to go out on a limb and say there is no crappy way to win. If you win, you've won.
Right.
So that's what I said at first, and then they played Bianca Andreescu's quotes after her match that she won, her tennis match. And she goes, "A win is a win, I guess." And it was the "I guess" where I'm just like, she doesn't care.
You know who managed to lose?
You don't think she cares? Hold on.
Well, no.
Yeah.
She
Whoa,
cares.
Sorry, Betsy,
No,
but
no, go ahead.
whoa.
She cares, but it's
Yes,
not
would she have
the
liked
same.
to ideally have beaten her idol Serena Williams? Yes.
Yeah.
But
That
did she
was-
win the Rogers Cup?
That was
Yeah.
sweet as hell when she basically runs up to Serena Williams and completely geeks out and just unloads her complete Wikipedia page on her to make her feel better. So I looked this up. Bianca Andreescu just turned 19. She had just turned 2. I think she was 25 months old. The first time Serena Williams was ranked first in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If the Leafs play the Islanders in the Eastern Conference Final,
Can't wait.
okay? Leafs play the Islanders. And
Or as the NHL likes to call them, the Rangers.
that's right, because Robin Lehner of the Rangers won the Masterton.
Yes.
I wonder, do you think the Islander fans and the Islander players would be upset if the Leafs had to pull out due to injury, all of them? If they all collectively pulled their quads and they can't play anymore. Oh no. And then you see Anders Lee go up to the podium. Newly signed Anders Lee. He's the runner-up to the guy that they actually wanted. But, he's still the captain or whatever.
And they signed him late.
Yeah.
Even though,
that's
he
why
wanted
he's
to be there the
runner-up.
whole time.
No, he wanted to be there. They just didn't want him.
Oh.
That was the problem. It's not that they didn't want him. It was like, can we afford him in Panarin? And they were trying to keep the thing
Good way
open.
to treat your captain.
You know what?
Who would
I
ever
think
wanna leave?
100%.
Who would ever want to leave?
I think we should give back the NBA championship trophy The Larry O'Brien Trophy, because Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson were injured.
That's true.
The Raptors didn't win.
True.
No.
You know, it's funny because they never won when LeBron was injured. Weird.
No.
Well, and you know what? I agree with people who say the Raptors only won because Golden State had those injuries. So we should do what they always do when there's injuries and start over.
Yeah.
We should do what they always do and play those games over again.
You know what I miss?
To make it fair.
Injury-free playoffs. Those were the days.
Yeah.
I think
frig off.
that's the point of the playoffs is everybody gets injured
Yeah.
and you have to see how well you play.
It's attrition.
Yes.
Right? It's a battle of attrition. And tennis is wild because like you'll just spend every ounce of strength you have in your entire body, and guess what? You got to play again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Against a harder opponent.
Yeah, there's no load management.
Yeah,
if you win a championship, like a tennis round, like a tennis championship, to me, I'm taking the next month off after that. Like your body has got to be physically hammered, and they're always like, it's the next week.
Yeah. Well, you'll lose they have certain obligations to play in certain tournaments, else you lose your ranking. So if you
Right.
care about where your rankings are, then you can't do
Which
it. But
it
like
matters.
Serena, she doesn't care at this point. She just wants to win the 4 majors. So she'll take the month off for sure.
I think she wanted Rogers Cup because she didn't have enough reps.
Yeah, that's your tune-up for the U.S. Open.
Because usually she would just skip it.
Yeah,
Like
she
she
hasn't
does
been to the
every
Rogers
year.
Cup in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
She's
yeah.
done it before, but it's rare.
Yeah. It's like the Canadian Championship in golf. People are like, okay.
Cute.
Yeah, cute. Because
Yeah.
it's right in the middle of, isn't it like right
I
in the
think
middle of
it's
the
the
Masters and the
British
Players?
Open.
Oh, okay.
Or one or the other. It's usually the week before or the week after, so it's the one everybody skips.
Right.
Yeah. So
Now,
stupid.
on Friday, I did something strategic, and I didn't talk about it on Friday.
Oh, are we moving off of tennis? Because there was one bigger
please.
loser than Serena Williams on Sunday.
Oh,
Did we see the tweet from Eugenie Bouchard,
we did.
who decided to
Okay.
throw her hat in the ring?
Okay, so Jesse.
Yes. Yes.
You are the best person to contextualize this.
Hmm.
So let's pull it back to the beginning. Jeannie Bouchard, who had a really great run in 2014. And then
Is that how long ago?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Tennis sort of,
Wow.
she was this 19-year-old kid who came up and made it. Did she not make it all the way to the finals in at least one tournament?
She won something.
Never won a major.
Never won a major.
Semifinals of a major.
Yeah.
Is the farthest she
And we
ever
were
got.
going, whoa, because we didn't really have big Canadian tennis names at that point. There was no Shapovalov, there was no Auger Aliassime.
She was the one where they go, oh God, it was like after she had just won a match, they're like, if you could go on a date with anybody, who would it be? And she, like, not knowing what to say, was just like, Justin Bieber.
She's like a kid.
And everyone was like, yes, hi. Why would the sports reporter ask her that?
Exactly, ridiculous.
Her best result was the finals of Wimbledon in 2014.
That's right. And
Wow.
that was, it's finals
And
of
then
Wimbledon.
previously, she went to semifinals of French Open, semifinals of Australian Open, same year.
She didn't
And
win
since
anything?
then,
Never won a major.
Since then, she's done literally nothing. She's got great sponsorship dollars coming in from Nike, so she doesn't necessarily need to. But she fired a coach just after that run, and has
of, like,
never been the
5.
same.
Yeah.
Has never ever been the same. And we were talking to Carolyn Cameron about it a couple years ago, and we asked her, and she's like, you know what, honestly, I think the tennis world sort of figured her out. And what little I know about tennis is that she plays a game that's basically everybody knows what's coming, so you know how to react to it.
Carolyn Cameron might love tennis more than I love hockey.
Yeah, it's
100%.
crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
like we had her on the radio last week and she was just like, all right, like just like this is my time to shine. The Rogers Cup. Yeah. And
I remember what was
Serena Williams is in the same city as me. And she was just
2 years
losing it.
ago when was it Milos or Shapo who was making the run in Wimbledon?
Chapo, I think.
Was it Shapo? She got to be on the American coverage for Wimbledon
Did
on
she?
Sunday morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
on NBC.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
it
I
was
saw that.
unbelievable to see that.
That's pretty cool. So
Damn talented
So
Carolyn Cameron.
Jeannie sees this. So what happened, Jesse? Because Jeannie Bouchard has fallen off the tennis map. So she
Yes.
sees that Bianca.
Who beat her in the first round of the Rogers Cup.
That's
Which is the key.
this is the key. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Jesse.
So on Sunday, after Bianca wins the Rogers Cup by default, Jeannie Bouchard decides to tweet. So basically, I could have won the Rogers Cup. 3 laughing emojis.
the crying laughing emoji.
Crying laughing emojis.
She's friggin' laughing.
Because the way the sports world works, if you lose in the first round to the eventual champion, that means you could have won if you had made it to the finals.
It's like if the Orlando Magic tweeted. So basically, I could have won the NBA championship. What? No.
That's not.
Basically, we won the LOB. Like,
No. And then she followed it up with kidding, and congrats to Bianca on winning, doing like the rest of them. And then this morning, she tweets out a picture that says, haters having anger towards everyone reaching success.
Oh my God. I wish she was just being mean. But like I'm so much more embarrassed for her because it's a joke that completely just went kablooey right in her. Like it just fell
What was
flat.
funny about it? I don't get that.
Well, nothing. That's the problem. So it's a joke that was so unfunny that people just took it very literally
Yeah.
and were like, "Hey, f you!" And like she's someone who people have like license to be mad at.
Yeah.
Like if it was someone who had never really said anything before, they'd that joke bombed. Oh well. But like people don't like Jeannie Bouchard because like supposedly she's not that nice. But yeah,
She has the Steve Dangle, William Nylander effect. People don't like her because she's good looking.
is she the William Nylander of
Yeah,
tennis?
I don't know. Has she done anything before that's been all that controversial? I don't think so.
No.
William Nylander's good.
The only thing is like
He had one off tournament. Oh my God!
what?
I just realized you're right.
What?
Maybe she's William Nylander.
I don't know. I can't. She's been relatively benign.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything that she's ever been like. Well, this is what She did call Maria Sharapova out when she had the PED suspension. She's like, it's a shame, and I think what did she say? I think she should give back all of her titles or something like that. Like it was really aggressive.
Sharapova was taking a drug that was legal at the time, and
Yes.
then she took it into the point where they made it illegal, and then she got caught because she was still taking it. But it was a ridiculous statement. Anyway,
sports.
Sports.
Now, I saved some of the stuff that was available to us last week because I knew we'd have another show today.
Yeah.
And-
Nikita Gusev, right-handed D-man.
That's right.
Let's go.
Did you get any tweets about that? People going, "Hey,
Oh yeah.
idiot!"
I'm gonna keep saying it as long as it keeps bothering you. Oh, and I also forgot to mention Sami Vatanen last show. So it's Connor Carrick, Sami Vatanen, PK Subban,
And Nikita Gusev.
Yeah, and
I thought
Nikita Gusev,
Nikita-
and also
isn't-
Damon Severson.
I thought Vatanen shot left.
I don't care.
Okay.
He shoots right now.
We're in
Just like
we're in Marner for
Gusev.
Besser season, by the way, just so everybody's clear.
Let's do it.
So this is why we're not. Well, we can go there if you want to, but it's just one dumb tweet. I think the important thing is that we talk about Paul Fenton, and I saved Paul Fenton
My God!
because I saved Paul Fenton because I knew we needed something for today.
Oh, I haven't talked about that anywhere because I was sick. I was so excited to have a hockey story to talk about last week, and I was sick, and I wasn't on the radio that day.
So the story you need to read. This happened 10 days ago already.
It must be my birthday.
Paul Fenton, who is the maniac who led the Minnesota Wild for the last 14 months.
I can't believe it was that long.
Called Matt Zuccarello a lizard and traded. There's so much to go through, but Michael Russo's got an incredible story on it's called The Downfall of Paul Fenton Inside the GM's Turbulent 14 Months with the Wild from The Athletic.
It is on par with, I don't remember the writer's name, but the 1994 article from Hartford after Pierre Maguire got fired by the Whalers. It is
that's
on par with that.
Jesse, do you know that one?
yeah, we brought it up on the show.
Okay, all right.
Well, because it's legendary. It's
Yeah.
one of the single greatest takedowns in hockey ever. This one by Russo is far more polite, but it is way more thorough.
Way
it is
more thorough.
just, and it almost feels antagonistic because, and I assume you got little snippets.
It reflects so poorly on him, it looks like a hit job.
It reflects so poorly on him, but he
Not Russo, by the way, Fenton.
on Fenton. He goes back to Fenton was paranoid about leaks. And here goes, and Russo just fucking spills a whole pot of tea. He knows everything about the team. Every damn thing. Oh, it's awesome.
Well, it starts with the trouble with analytics. And by the way, there's a ton of paragraphs before this, so I'm not destroying The Athletic on this one. But basically, he didn't understand it. So here's what one person with knowledge said. Part of it was he didn't understand it, analytics. And what you don't know, you're afraid of. So right away, that was clearly evident.
And they had a staff of two, I think. I want to say Alex Thomas.
And Andrew Thomas and Alex Mandrycky.
Andrew Thomas, sorry. And Alex Mandrycky? Was
Yeah.
one of them Alex? Okay,
Yes.
right.
And
Sorry.
here's the interesting part. When the front office had a Florida retreat in January to prepare for the trade deadline, neither Thomas nor Mandrycky, both analytics people, were invited.
That's insane.
The Wild on consecutive days made 2 trades. Justin Kluse for Pontus Aberg, and Nino Niederreiter for Victor Rask, which is, I mean, both are bad, but the Nino Niederreiter trade is the one that really sticks out there. The latter trade shipped out an analytical darling and brought in one with a gigantic analytical red flag. Not surprisingly, this could go down as one of the worst trades in Wild history.
Nino Niederreiter scored at like a 30-goal pace as a member of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Now think about this for a second. Before we get into the trade itself, let's talk about the treatment of the staff.
Yes.
Now this is where it starts to feel hit jobby, but it's not, because this is just what happened. It's not a hit job if it happened.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sean Burke might disagree with you there, Adam.
Well, Sean Burke is decidedly a guy without perspective of the NHL from the outside. This is a guy who's been involved in the NHL since he was 17 or 18 years old. Sean Burke has no idea what it's like to be a reporter, no idea what it's like to be a fan.
Well,
or hasn't, or maybe he does, but in an adult fan or in a kid's context. Sean Burke is almost 50 years old. It's been a while, Sean. And guess what? This is how it works, pal. I saw that tweet too.
Name all the sources.
Name all the sources.
What is this Sean Burke?
So Sean
tweet?
Burke tweeted that. Go ahead, you go.
Well, he
Okay.
basically, because the Fenton piece is so thorough, like
Yeah.
he clearly spoke to everybody in the Wild organization, and I guess it was going around. There's no way Sean Burke actually read the article. There's no way.
Why
But
not?
I just refuse to believe that he actually read it. If he had actually read it, I don't think he would have tweeted that out. He would have at least had the self-awareness.
Tweeted
Sean-
what out?
Sean,
So sorry. What he tweeted, like you asked. What he tweeted.
Is this the most Steve conversation that's ever happened?
so you've asked for something. I'm not going to give you that.
So Sean Burke tied an onion to his belt, which was the style at the time. And he basically said, like, have the balls to put your name on what you're saying. Have the balls to put your name behind the claims that you're making about this man, Paul
The
Fenton.
people who Michael Russo is quoting in his article.
Yes.
Who, could lose their job.
Oh, so Sean
Yes.
Burke is like, hey, if you gave Russo a quote, you should have the balls to put your name next to it.
your name on it.
Put
Yeah.
your name on it. Yeah. Okay.
Which
Wow.
is just an incredibly naive way of looking at things.
Anything.
Because
Right.
no one would do that.
Because that's not how most reporting works.
That's
It's
not
usually-
how almost all reporting works.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I also want to throw this out there. After that tweet, Sean Burke's account ceased to exist.
Oh,
Did
no.
he delete it?
It's all gone. The account's gone. S-Berkey1 is gone.
Oh, isn't he? He still works with an NHL team, doesn't he? Sean Burke?
Yes, I believe he does. I forget what it is.
I
but
forget
yeah.
which one too.
Yeah.
he's been pinging around.
Yep. And he was, I think for a few places, he's the co-general manager of Hockey Canada with Brodeur.
Oh, because he was with Arizona for a while.
Yeah.
I think he was a goalie coach, and then he moved into a front office or
Yeah.
whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So,
Wait, so he deleted his account after he tweeted that?
Yes,
Oh, shit. Wow.
I have a theory as to why. I don't. The tweet did poorly, Jesse.
Okay.
Did very.
And the lesson from this, never tweet.
yeah.
Well,
so
you know,
my suggestion to
Let's
Sean Burke
revisit
would
that.
be maybe your perspective on it is warped because you've literally been a player and in management circles for the majority of your life.
anytime anyone screams like "Name your sources, show yourself," I'm like, "You got something to hide."
Exactly. Well,
he deleted his account.
and it makes me happy to know that that anybody with an attitude like that is the guy that I don't want running my team.
Right.
So now we go back to the analytics people. Forget the trade for a second, because at the time you knew, and especially Wild fans knew, God bless them, the Nino Niederreiter trade was bad. We knew that. We knew that right away. Victor Rask was not the guy. Everybody was like, what the hell is this? What are they doing?
They had someone in their organization they could have asked about it.
Sure.
Eric
they too.
Stahl.
Oh, yeah, Eric Stahl, too. Andrew Thomas, Alex Mandrycky. These are the people we want to focus on right now. So let's talk about Thomas first, okay? So Andrew Thomas has a non-NHL job lined up, has left the team.
Yes.
When Mandrycky informed Fenton that she did not plan to sign a tendered deal, she was given permission to talk to other teams and ended up with several possibilities. Ultimately, if you exclude Dave Tippett, who left to become head coach in Edmonton, she became the first full-time front office employee in Seattle's history, the Seattle expansion team's history.
That's awesome.
And assisted owner Jerry Bruckheimer and CEO Todd Leiweke in their decision to hire Ron Francis as the first GM.
That's wild.
So
That's why not even
leaves
Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, so she leaves Minnesota to help the guy that created Black Hawk Down. And
That's the one you picked?
And Tim Leiweke. I don't know what else he did.
That's the
Independence
movie?
Day? What did he do? I don't even know.
1,000 movies bigger than Black Hawk Down?
Black Hawk Down was a great movie. Let's not...
Never saw it.
Listen, you've never seen Black Hawk Down?
I've never seen it.
Dude, it's a great movie.
No.
So anyway, so she gets to go hang out with Jerry Bruckheimer and Todd Leiweke, brother of Tim, and choose the general manager in Seattle.
And chose, what, the 5th leading scorer in NHL history?
Right. And so here's the thing. Apparently her main skill was to make analytics understandable. And that's always been our thing. We've talked about that before, where sometimes...
Yeah.
And admittedly, we aren't the smartest people on the face of the earth.
Oh, full admission.
So I understand that maybe people with average intelligence can understand some of these graphs, but a lot of the stuff that I see, and I'll tell Ian, tell like this, and Dom Decision, and Tyler Dello when he was writing, I don't get what you're saying, but I'll read the paragraph underneath, and the words make more sense. So basically, what I need you to write under the graph is, so basically what this says is this, right?
Like, I look at those heat maps they have now, I'm like, is red good or bad?
Yeah.
Exactly.
My instinct is it's bad. But also blue could mean cold. So
Exactly.
maybe blue is bad.
It depends on if you're on the offensive zone or the defensive zone. The red could be good in the offensive
I
zone.
love when people just post those charts with like LOL. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm stupid.
Anything with a number, then letters, and a percentage point, and a power to the of. I don't understand.
At Charting Hockey, Sean Tierney does a good job of contextualizing the charts he puts up.
Yes.
He's very, very good with that, and I appreciate that.
Do you want a list of movies bigger than Black Hawk Down?
Sure,
I would
let's
love
go.
them.
Let's do it.
Top Gun.
So these are all Jerry Bruckheimer movies.
Jerry Bruckheimer
You could have
movies.
picked Top Gun.
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl. Okay,
that was a flop, man. That's a bad
It's-
It
movie.
was
Still-
big at the time, but yeah, it was a flop.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jeez, there's a ride.
I heard that's a good one.
National Treasure. Nick Cage movie.
Nicolas Cage, Adam.
Is that where he's going for the end of the somebody steals the...
The Declaration of Independence.
It's a
Yeah.
terrible movie.
It's such a bad movie. Oh my god.
But it's great.
Top Gun Maverick coming in 2020.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Can't wait.
And many others.
The
I bet
year is
that movie's gonna-
2022.
that
There are
movie
no
will-
more sequels.
That movie will fund Seattle's expansion.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Is that going to be a thing? Like, Seattle fans need to get behind Jerry Bruckheimer movies so that their team can, like, compete for a Stanley Cup?
maybe. Now, here's... So anyway, basically, back to Alex Mandrycky for a second. Okay?
Right. This is going to take 4 hours.
So, yeah, that's okay. Basically, Fenton said to Michael Russo, and Michael Russo says this in the piece, that what he liked about Mandrycky was her ability to make analytics understandable. By the way, if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, it's purely...
That's how I do it.
It's purely on purpose, and I meant to offend her. So, just so you know, I'm trying to actively do that, and definitely tweet me about it, and definitely tell me what an awful person I am for getting a complicated last name wrong.
But what you're
I'm
saying
really-
is Mandrycky put together charts saying that Seattle should go out and get Nikita Gusev,
Yes.
the noted right-hand
right-handed shot
defenseman
defenseman.
from Finland.
That's right. So she said this is interesting. She planned to stay with the Wild through the expiration of her contract because she's going to Seattle, right? It doesn't matter. Stay with the Wild through July 1st. So you
the
can,
most important part of the offseason.
because it's the time that trades get done, really. More trades happen after the playoffs are done than at the trade
Or
deadline.
like even seeds planted for trades.
Exactly. Your
Wish
draft...
lists.
Of course, which you'd have analytics, you'd have advanced stats that are not available to the public at that point, and of course, free agency. She planned to stay with the Wild through the expiration of her contract so she could help hire a replacement, train that person, and give analytical advice during the trade season, draft, and free agency courting period. But when Seattle came calling, Fenton gave her permission to leave before her contract was up.
Okay.
Which Which is
Sure.
being a good guy, I suppose, but it's really stupid.
It's not being a strategic guy.
Yeah, he's just. Is he being too nice? Is that, or is he just not thinking?
It sounds like she would have had a job anyway.
She would have had the job. The job wasn't going to be pulled. She was going to have the job July 2nd or whenever her contract expired.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll let, whether you think he's doing or whether he's being a good guy or not, I'll let the rest of the story help you decide.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
We already know that he's had a fear of analytics because he doesn't quite understand it. Additionally, Tom Minton, a Wild front office video coordinator who helped assistant GM Shep Harper with day-to-day operations, the salary cap, and gathering of amateur and pro video, was reassigned after the season to be an amateur scout. In July, he was given permission to get out of the final year of his contract so he could rejoin Chuck Fletcher in Philadelphia. Fenton did have plans to replace Thomas and Mandricki. Sources say he wanted to hire Matt Sells, who did advanced pre-scout analytics for Hockey Canada, but losing both of them at the draft, before the draft, meant that the Wild were effectively without an analytics department during the very critical part of the offseason.
Cool. If there's something you want to be doing in 2019, it's moving away from where everyone's going. Everyone's adapting that. You want to unadapt that.
So this is the part that the owner sort of cited without saying anything. It was a cultural problem. This is why Paul Fenton was like, so Craig Leipold was basically saying, or Leipold was saying, there was a cultural problem here. And here's where we get into that. All GMs want to create an inner circle they can trust. That Tom Fenton brought in longtime mentor Jack Ferreira to be a senior.
Fenton?
That Fenton brought in longtime mentor Jack Ferreira to be a senior advisor, and Tom Curvers, former Leaf, to be his right-hand man is absolutely understandable and his prerogative. But Fenton, sources say, created immediate dissension by displaying little respect for Fletcher's inner circle. Brent Flair, senior VP of operations who'd been with the Wild since July 2009, was made a glorified amateur scout after a 28-day run as the interim GM. So he comes in and he takes the interim GM and goes, "We're kicking you down the stairs." Harder was the Wild's chief negotiator and resident salary cap CBA expert. Fenton wanted to take his title of assistant GM away despite the danger of Harder losing credibility with agents when negotiating deals. So, when you're an agent and you're negotiating for your contract, if I am negotiating with Steve better be an assistant general manager.
Sure.
Minimum.
Yeah.
But if Jesse, Mr. No, said, Steve,
No.
I'm yanking your assistant general manager title away. But I'm still going to have you negotiate with the agents. How far do you think you get?
Not far at all.
That's the point.
Yeah, sorry, who am I speaking to?
Right. Now it goes into other people who've departed and stuff, and I'm not going to focus too much on that.
And also not read the entire article.
But Paul
Subscribe to The Athletic.
But Paul Fenton,
$5.
$5
this is
for
where
a
it gets
year
a bit
or
weird.
something.
One notable addition was Paul Fenton's son, PJ, who was hired as a scout last summer.
I ended up feeling really bad for this guy by the end of the article.
With Flair's departure, PJ Fenton was elevated to run the amateur scouting department.
So
Okay, we're going to pass it to Tucker. Any Hey Arnold fans out there?
The optics of putting his son into such a key job created a bunch of turmoil amongst the scouts in the front office. And by the way, PJ Fenton, not much difference in age between him and us.
Oh,
yeah, it sounds like he doesn't have much experience.
Well, okay. So
Unless he does.
According to Corey Pronman, the Wild did a very good job at the draft, and PJ Fenton and a guy named Darren Yopik ran the draft for them. However, even Paul Fenton knew this was sort of a bad optic move.
it's the sort of thing where if he had done everything properly prior, if everything around this was above board, people might have been a little warmer to it.
Right.
But all of a sudden, this guy comes in, and he lets these people go, and he makes this trade, and he kicks this guy down the stairs, and he hired his son? Like, that's like a tip of the iceberg.
It's that extra piece, right? The extra piece.
By the end of this article, you will be convinced that his son was the best hire he made in 14 months. It's bad.
And again, now, Paul Fenton was so sensitive to the way that Leipold perceived his son. When he found out Leipold was sitting to his son's right on the draft at the draft table on day one, sources say he quickly rearranged the seating chart to move his son 2 seats down to his left, put Yopik immediately to his left, so Leipold didn't feel PJ was running the table, even though he was.
So
After the draft, Yopik was made available to the media, not PJ Fenton, who was a big reason why the Wild drafted impressive Matt Boldy in the first round. It may be awkward, and one has to feel for him, but PJ Fenton still remains with the organization to this day.
So within the organization, who is this friggin' guy? The GM hired his kid, blah, blah, blah. Actually does a good job, can take zero public credit for it because he's the GM's kid.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for him by the end of it, man.
It sounds like he's been set up to be in a position to thrive, though, since he did such a great job, and now his dad's gone. You know?
Yeah. Now we'll really
I wonder
know.
if he's a little bit relieved.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one.
So now,
Go Junior Fenton.
now I want you to imagine that Steve's the head coach of the Wild, and Jesse's the general manager.
Yay.
Jesse is the Paul Fenton type in this. Mm-hmm. Steve is a long tenured coach with a lot of great regular season history.
Oh, good.
Steve is Bruce Boudreau.
my face gets so red.
Now, Steve's got a best friend named Adam Waugh
Okay.
that he's coached with for years.
Years.
Yeah.
Paul Fenton declined to renew the contract of Bruce Boudreau's best friend, John Anderson, as assistant coach and replaced him with his own former colleague, Dean Evison, who'd previously coached the Milwaukee Admirals in the Nashville
So I
organization.
fired Adam
Yeah.
and replaced him with one of my buddies. And I said, Steve, work with this guy now, even though that guy was your friend.
Yeah.
It's just such a bad way to do with it. Like, especially a coaching staff. Like, it's such a collaborative thing. Like, if it doesn't work after X amount of time and you want to shake it up, I get it. But this guy just showed up and he went, nope, Nashville, this guy.
This guy.
I'm pretty sure we alluded to this several times on the podcast throughout the season. It seemed like Fenton was just, like, to the umpth degree doing the tried, tested, and true. I'm going to bring in all these guys, all these hidden gems from my old organization and just show you what a smart guy I am.
Because Paul Fenton worked under David Poile in Nashville for years.
Who then fleeced him.
Hold
Sorry.
We're jumping ahead in the story.
I'm
Come
sorry.
on.
I'm sorry.
Not only was Boudreau upset that Anderson was kicked to the curb, but it also created the perception that Evison, whom Fenton called one of the best coaches outside of the NHL, was put on the bench to ultimately succeed Boudreau. Also, sources say, Fenton, on a handful of occasions, both last season and afterwards, sought permission to fire Bruce Boudreau. Leipold wouldn't give it.
So that's got to make you feel good if you're Bruce Boudreau.
But
you got the backing of ownership.
But he's entering the final year of a 4-year contract, and Fenton declined to give him an extension.
Oh. And also, that guy he brought in, is he now also there? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Still there, at least for now.
Yeah, because you can't. It'd be difficult just to fire a guy that. But the old guy hired him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So Bruce Boudreau didn't like the play of Nino Niederreiter on the right side. Mm-hmm. And he had been relegated to the fourth line, making $5.25 million because the Wild have Parise, Zucker, and Jordan Greenway higher up on the depth chart playing the left side. So Boudreau, like Babcock, was like, well, he's only good on that one side, so we can't play him on the right side. Now, he wasn't happy with it.
This, to me, like, a lot of people were like, oh, how could you fire Bruce Boudreau? And, well, this is something he deserves criticism for.
100%.
Because the team made a stupid move by getting rid of Nino Niederreiter. Well, he drove his value into the dirt.
Sure.
By not using this player, who was clearly good.
So when Fenton suddenly got a call from Carolina about Niederreiter in January, he got excited. Here's the problem, though. According to Hurricane sources, the Canes plan to buy out Rask this summer and watch Niederreiter 10 times in the weeks leading up to the trade. There was consensus on their pro side that if Niederreiter got elevated minutes in a top 6 role, he'd succeed in rally. Shocking. Shocking.
This reminds me so much of the Raycroft deal.
Hold on to this.
Okay.
However, according to sources, not a single Wild scout was sent to watch Rask in person. and there were already limited viewings because the snippets, because he snipped his finger during a kitchen accident last offseason and missed time. Now go ahead with your Raycroft story.
Oh my God! First of all, that's the most Minnesota Wild thing. That was something I laughed out loud at.
What was the part about them not watching Victor Rask?
So Jesse, as the general manager, I'm now, since I was fired, I was picked up as a GM somewhere else. Okay, since you fired me.
Sure.
So I call you and I go, I want Nito Niederreiter. What would it take? I know he's underperforming. He makes a lot of money. What could I get?
Sure.
And I say, you know what? I'll give you Victor Rask. And you go, wow, not player coming back. You think, guy who is not Nino Niederreiter on the way back. This is excellent.
Person breathing.
Breathing body. Awesome.
By the end of it, you'll be
Super good.
convinced that he thought he was trading for Tuukka.
Yeah. So basically, I have sent my scouts to see Nino Niederreiter 10 times before calling you. Before even picking up the phone.
You're the Hurricanes, and you sent your scouts all the time to see Nino.
Yes.
And he's looked great on the fourth line.
100%, because I got to report to Tom Dundon.
Sure.
Tom Dundon's involved. Okay? So I got to say to Tom, listen, here are the 10 times we went to see him. Here's why our analytics department believes in him. Here's why we need to do this trade.
Sure.
And I'm going to offer them this guy we're going to buy out this summer anyway. Shh,
That guy we're not going to keep, we don't need.
Right.
Yeah.
But you, as Paul Fenton, shooting from the hip, go, sure, we'll take him.
Me not having seen Victor Rask play and knowing that, what did he cut his finger?
Cut his finger earlier, so there was limited viewing, limited tape available on him already, and you haven't even sent a scout to see him play.
And I'm just going to take this guy back for a guy who could potentially be a top 6 forward.
Sure are.
Don Waddell is such a G.
Man.
Because when you make a trade where you rip a team off so bad, you, in some ways, make yourself toxic. That GM's gone.
Yep.
So you fleeced him so bad. It was in a 14-month period that was legendarily terrible. You gave him the crown jewel of his terrible tenure. It's the worst trade he made, arguably the worst trade the Minnesota Wild have ever made. And now he's not even there, and you can start trading with the Minnesota Wild right away.
Now, I'd like to give you a piece of breaking hockey news right now.
Right now.
Pertains to this story released
Like it just happened.
22 minutes ago from Michael Russo.
Okay.
Oh!
So,
Wow.
So we're talking about Don Waddell. We're talking about Paul Fenton. Paul Fenton no longer with the Wild.
Oh, I forgot about this part too.
So, Jesse, here's the best part.
Oh, no
Sure,
way.
sure.
No, you're not about to
when
say.
I was hired by the Carolina Hurricanes,
You're joking.
Tom
Oh my
Dundon
God.
was like, we're not paying you very much. And I said, but I'm Don Waddell, and I deserve at least $1 million. And Tom Dundon's like, how about $400,000? And I said, okay, maybe, because I don't really have any other options right now, but this is sort of bullshit.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a lot less than my value.
Sources say,
No.
well, Craig Leopold called Don Waddell and said, hey, you fleeced us. How about you come work for us? So Don Waddell has informed the Minnesota Wild he is pulling out of their GM search and has signed a long-term contract to remain in Carolina.
Oh,
How's that
I
for
thought
leverage?
you were going to say.
Oh my God! And then he used them for leverage.
So
Don Waddell's the best.
So he ripped
I
them
didn't
off.
realize. Wow.
He ripped them off and then used them for leverage to get a great long-term deal with Tom Dundon, who didn't want to give him one originally.
Wow.
Crazy.
The Minnesota Wild should change their logo to Don Waddell dunking their head in the toilet. Wow.
Okay, so
That's amazing.
So I'm glad we saved this story for today.
That's sort of what the Hurricanes logo is.
Yeah.
who is in charge of hiring Paul Fenton?
I assume Craig Leopold,
Craig
because
Leopold?
he's the
Craig
owner.
Leopold,
Unless they have like a president.
No. The owner was holding the jersey with Paul Fenton's name on it last summer. Yeah,
fair enough.
It's Craig Leopold.
Well, and the crazy thing about Paul Fenton is, like, he was talked about for the longest time. Like, wait till this guy gets a shot, and
No way. A bunch of hockey guys said a hockey guy to be great? No way. No way.
and he wanted it.
No
something
way.
fierce.
I bet
And-
Sean Burke will be great. I can't wait till he
Oh
gets
my
hired
God.
too.
Well, and
Reveal
you-
all the sources.
You know who I wonder about? Is it Mike Fuda?
Yeah, from LA.
Yeah, he was in LA for the longest time, and I think he might have gone somewhere else. But
don't
he's
think
a
he has
guy
yet.
I kind of respect him for. Like, I assume if he wanted to be an NHL GM, he could have been by now.
He could have been. There's
He's
no question.
pulled out of certain things because I think he understands he's doing all right at what he does, and he doesn't want to get himself into this Paul Fenton situation. Oh, so sorry. The Victor Rask reminding me of Tuukka Rask. Supposedly, this is all part of lore. I don't know if this was ever confirmed anywhere. So the Leafs have these two amazing goalie prospects, Justin Pogge and Tuukka Rask. But they want to replace Ed Belfour with a different starter. So they call up the Boston Bruins and ask about Andrew Raycroft, who had just won the Calder Trophy a few years before, but then there was the 04-05 lockout. He got hurt. He was terrible in Europe, had another terrible NHL season. The Bruins supposedly had planned on, I can't remember if it was buy him out or waive him. They were planning on that. And the Leafs called asking for him. The Bruins go, give us Tuukka Rask. And the Leafs said, okay. The Leafs gave them, forget
They're going for the next 12 years.
Yeah, forget the fact that Tuukka Rask has gone on to have, like, what, by the time it's all said and done, might be a Hall of Fame career.
2 Vezinas, 2 Stanley Cups, is it?
Well, finals anyway. 3 finals.
That he was the backup for, but he's been to 2 finals.
2 finals, yeah.
Would have won the Conn Smythe this year if the Bruins had won it. Forget the Hall of Fame career part. The Leafs offered the 24th or 5th overall pick from the year prior for a guy the Bruins were going to buy out or waive. So
Unbelievable.
You take that all day.
This is what it reminds me of. Oof.
So
Are you giving up the guy named Rask? You lost the trade.
On the day that
Wait.
Paul Fenton...
You won it.
That's wrong. Sorry.
On the day that Paul Fenton was hired, May 21st, 2018, the press release says, Paul is uniquely suited for a job having played 10 years of professional hockey and holding 25 years of management experience, Craig Leopold says. My relationship with Paul goes back to my early days in Nashville. I know that Wild hockey fans are going to love Paul's infectious passion for the game and unsurpassed work ethic. He's the right person to deliver a Stanley Cup to the state of hockey.
I just need you to read the
So
first
it was
bit
Leopold
of
who hired...
Yes, of
Fenton.
course.
that. But can you read
check on that?
the first sentence again?
Sure. Paul is uniquely suited for his job, having played 10 years of professional hockey and holding 25 years of management experience in the NHL.
10 years of professional hockey.
Sure.
The last year Paul Fenton played professional hockey was 1992.
Okay.
It's irrelevant.
Well,
It's irrelevant to his 2018 when he was hired.
The 25
expertise.
years of management experience is relevant.
That's
which is the
relevant
next-
for sure. But he played for 10 years. Who gives a shit? It doesn't. His 1992 acumen, and 1992 is the most recent, so his acumen through the 80s is not relevant to his managerial duties today. It's not. I know that's just owner nonsense, and you gotta pump the guy's tire, but it's the sort of thing that I would rather you leave out because it makes me have less faith in what you're saying.
Bingo.
Well, he played hockey in 1986.
Get the hell out.
That's
no way.
great. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
There's lots of guys who played hockey in 1986.
That's like saying
some of them are smart, some of them are stupid.
That's like me putting on a resume that I there was a radio at the summer camp I went to, and I was on it. So that's why I should be the morning show host at 99.9 Virgin Radio.
I'm Canada's new track coach.
Are you?
Yeah, because I ran track and then worked in sports radio for a number of years.
It does not matter. It does not matter.
It's irrelevant.
Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because there's lots in here. But the last thing that you need to know is leaks. Do you remember the Leafs before Lou Lamoriello? And it's a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago. The Leafs were the leakiest ship out there. And guys like Darren Dreger had pretty much the scoop on everything because they could talk to anybody within the organization and they would be able to get it. But what you noticed when Lou took over was that it was stark. You didn't hear a thing from the Leafs anymore.
No.
Nothing.
Complete
and
darkness.
Even when Lou came out and talked, he was really good at saying a bunch of words that went nowhere and told you nothing.
Oh, he was the worst. He was like, you'd get through a 30-second answer and you'd be like, this word salad.
Yeah, and Lou knows how it works because you get 10 minutes with Lou Lamoriello, so he's going to give you the longest answer possible with the shortest amount of information. Smart guy. Smart guy. Now,
he must have had the longest book reports.
Now, Paul Fenton, of course, wanted to be like Lou. He wanted to keep things close to the vest, not abnormal.
Now, if you want your employees to do what you want, shouldn't you be nice to them?
Well, I would think so.
Shouldn't you make the environment as nice to work in as possible?
You catch more flies with honey?
I think
than
that's
vinegar?
the term.
Yeah. So, whenever it says this, whenever news did get out, it made Fenton distrust his staff, particularly those members who were there before he arrived. And he goes into 4 major incidents, and I'm going to outline them for you. It started at last year's draft when The Athletic reported that Fenton had been talking to Arizona about Christian Dvorak and Max Domi for Jason Zucker, and Nita Ryder and Tyler Ennis. That would have been a hell of a trade.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Fenton was incensed and, by his own admission, assembled his staff to warn them about leaking information. Number 2, after Dumba was injured and Koivu was injured in December, Fenton was livid. The specifics of the injuries got out. A week after Fenton thought he had nipped this in the bud, the St. Paul Pioneer Press reported that Koivu was wearing a knee brace. Fenton was again upset and held a team meeting where he told players that they were not to talk about injuries and that they needed to start taking gear off away from reporters if they were wearing protective gear.
Which is incredibly inconvenient if you've ever been inside an NHL locker room. Dude, you don't realize when you walk into their locker room, you're walking into their locker room.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm amazed they let us in.
Here's what he said. His concern was valid with player safety in mind.
Yeah.
A player trying to play through a publicly known injury could be targeted on ice, of course. But it got to the point that players were perturbed that he was addressing the team about something so minor in the midst of a skid in the schedule. Because if you remember this season, once Koivu and Dumba went down, so did the Wild season. It was toast. Now, number 3, throughout the month of February, The Athletic reported that Fenton was pursuing Kevin Fiala, who he eventually, I believe, acquired.
Yes.
In a deal that would involve Granlund, or could involve Granlund. He was convinced people in the front office were leaking info. When The Athletic broke the news that Coyle was traded to Boston right before the team's flight to New York, Fenton, sources say, was white hot on the team plane and spent the ride trying to find out if anyone on board leaked the info, going as far as threatening jobs.
You imagine being on the plane with that?
So you're stuck on the plane.
You can't go anywhere and your boss is just accosting all of you.
And what's the Minnesota to New York flight? 2 hours, maybe? An hour?
I think more.
Really?
Do they have access to airplanes?
Maybe.
Them,
but probably not their farm team.
Yeah, their farm team wouldn't.
What's
Then how
hilarious
would they
about
get players there?
all of this is the other teams could have leaked this. And you sometimes do that for competitive advantage. And number 4, when The Athletic reported that Zach Parise would miss the final 2 games of the season after dealing with a broken foot and a sprained MCL and torn meniscus.
Can you imagine if they made the playoffs?
After being kneed by Tom Wilson from Washington, because of course, Fenton was enraged. Demanded to know The Athletic sources, called Parise, and even had a conference call with Parise's agents to try to figure out who revealed the info.
So here, let me help Sean Burke out with something. Michael Russo's source for this was Paul Fenton. He called what?
That's true.
It sounds like he called up either Russo or someone from The Athletic and went, "Oi, who the?"
Yeah.
So he's straight up saying, "Well, Dum Dum called me." And started well, he started berating me, but who could have done it? Dum Dum. Like, not to be that blunt about it, but what do you want to prevent leaks? So you're going to call up a reporter and scream at them? How did that work? Effectively? Don't know.
This might seem like a minor, irrelevant GM versus media quarrel, but the stress this all created inside the organization for staff and players alike was felt all season long. He stopped trusting many on his staff, and it inevitably created a toxic environment from the front office all the way down to the locker room. No kidding. There's nothing like a GM getting mad with 2 games to go in the season and being stuck on an airplane with him when you're going to miss the playoffs, eh? So
you can see it on the team's body language. There was a game. I'm going to find a way to make this about the Oilers. I made it the dang it of the season for them. There was a game where they gave up, I want to say it was 5 goals in a period, but they were up 2-0. And they lost the game after the first goal. Like, because you just see it on them. They're like, fucking get me off the ice. Just get me off the ice right now. And I know they had nothing to play for, but like you see that attitude.
Yeah, just get me the hell out of here.
It seeps through the organization, and they like were just dudes skating around who happen to be wearing Oilers jerseys.
Now, let's talk about that Granlund for Fiala trade, because this is important. Paul Fenton used to work for Nashville. It's understandable why he might be interested in 23-year-old Kevin Fiala.
And Kevin Fiala was like a really praised pick at the time. Was he 12th overall? something like that. He was supposed to be so good, and then I want to say he was a big reason why they didn't end up winning the cup in 2016, or was it 2017? Sorry, 2017. Because if I'm not mistaken, in the second round he broke his femur.
Right, and
which is a huge recovery.
Yeah,
it's the biggest bone in your body for most people. You know what I'm saying? But no, your femur. It's a difficult recovery. Adam.
So,
the second biggest bone in your body is your other femur.
That's right. They are not the same size. There were a number of people within the organization who were worried that over the month leading to the trade deadline, Fenton became too singularly focused and, quote, obsessed, that's the word they used, with getting Fiala, who he feels could become a great game breaker. It apparently took some convincing from his staff to keep Fenton from giving up more than Granlund and even retaining salary in the trade.
Kids, what do we say about 23-year-old prospects?
There was just frustration beyond the point of comprehension, a source said. And this is what's so interesting. Fenton was proud of his one-for-one, quote, hockey trade, which we hear thrown around, which I don't know what that means. But very rarely in the NHL is a known quantity like Granlund trading for an unproven player without getting another asset back. It sure sounds like Paul Fenton's old manager, David Poile, strung him along for a month to the point that Fenton thought he was getting a steal when Poile finally agreed.
So Poile took his apprentice, basically used everything he knew about him, and just murdered him.
Which is why
welcome to the bigs, kid.
Which is why David Poile,
59-year-old kid,
who has been general manager for how long?
Oh, forever. He's one of the best GMs in the NHL.
That's
consistently.
Why. That's why, because he knows how to take. While you're on his team, great. And I'm sure he's really such a fun guy to be around. But he is absolutely going to take you to the cleaners if he can. And wouldn't you? So this is what's so interesting about Granlund, because Granlund had 54 points last year. Granlund regularly gets that.
Yeah, that's a game-breaking
He's a
player.
50-point center.
Well,
he's your number 2 center consistently.
Yeah. I mean, and he's 27, so he's in the prime of his career. And the Wild, who are supposed to be in win now mode, he had 67 a year ago, 69 the year before that, and 44 the year before that. Kevin Fiala had that great run with the playoffs and stuff in Nashville, even though really he had in 12 games 4 points. The most he's ever had in an NHL season is 48 that year, that magic Nashville year. The next year...
He had 48 points that year?
48 points, 23-25. The next year, 64 games, 32 points. So about the same pace.
A little less.
I'm wrong. Oh. This year. That's this year. 64 games with Nashville. He had 32 points. 19 games with the Wild, 7 points. So he's fallen off a wee bit. So you got the GM who's super focused on a guy, a GM who's super worried about leaks, things that don't matter, bugging the players when they're in the middle of a losing streak, talking about injury. Like, who the hell cares?
Bugging the staff, letting
and
the staff go.
I have hit on maybe 30% of this article.
No, yeah. For anyone who's like, Adam, just read the whole thing. No. It's a rare example of a long read with zero lulls. None.
It's just back-to-back hits.
It's everything. The Victor Rask finger part made me laugh out loud because not. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but they did this wrong. They did this wrong.
Yeah.
They did this wrong, and then they got this guy who cut his finger in the kitchen somehow.
It just seems like if they had done, you know, sometimes when you want to tweet something angrily, somebody tweets something, you go, "How the hell?"
Never.
And you want to how the hell them. Right? And you do I'm going to put my phone down for a second and go, do I really want to tweet that?
I did that today.
Yeah.
I typed up a tweet 5 times and then put my phone down.
It seems like if Paul Fenton had done that with his trades, none of them would have worked out this way.
Oh, my God. Or listened to anybody and valued anybody's input, anybody's opinion.
He self-admittedly had the person who was great at explaining analytics voluntarily leave.
Yeah, by his own admission, unless he was just bullshitting, Alex Mandrinky sounded like the perfect person for him to have on his staff.
Because he didn't get analytics, so why not have the person that gets it?
All right.
Now, I remember the first time you went off on the Minnesota Wild, because it was Chuck Fletcher, who is also a maniac. And it was really about the contracts that they signed before the lockout.
Yeah, and I think Fletcher is... The The reason Ron Hextall was let go from the Flyers is supposedly he wouldn't do what the higher-ups wanted him to do.
Right.
So they hired Chuck Fletcher, who historically has done that. Minnesota Wild go, here's $196 million. Go out and get us Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, who are halfway through their contracts, roughly. Oof. Yeah. So, although I kind of like what Fletcher's done with the Flyers a little bit. The rabbit hole went so much deeper than I thought.
Yeah, really bad. Well, and it really does. You know what? When we talk about find out who the worst GM is and call them
All the time.
Paul Fenton seems like the guy you wanted to call, and David Poile did exactly that. And it's a relatively minor trade, Fiala for Grant. Like that's not a listen.
Yes
that's
and no.
That's not a ground shaker.
Yeah, but it was a proven second line center for an unproven 23-year-old left winger.
Yeah, and Granlund,
And it was why.
I think, is on a nice deal.
It's
Yeah.
5.7, I think.
Oh,
That's not bad.
That's about market
It's
value, though.
27.
Yeah, that's
He's
about
prime,
market value.
yeah. He's not going to
Yeah.
get better, but he's not going to get worse.
Yeah, and that hasn't included
about
all the
right.
Jason Zucker nonsense that happened too, which his wife was tweeting about. We didn't even get into
Where the
that.
hell is he
Yeah.
going to end up? How's Matt Zuccarello feel right now?
Well, Matt Zuccarello did the smart thing and took the biggest contract he could.
Took all the money, and I mean, if you're Matt Zuccarello, you're like, I have this contract. They could always trade me,
Or not.
or I mean,
Or you could stay in one of the best cities in the world to live in.
Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a great city.
Really?
Yeah, St. Paul and like the
I'll take your word
Minneapolis,
for it.
St.
I
Paul.
feel like I could name 30 cities.
Well, if you're okay, listen. Matt Zuccarello knows what it's like to live in New York. So yes, maybe
Yeah.
there's no comparison there. But Minnesota's not. Don't sleep on Minnesota,
Yeah,
man. I think you actually would be really. I think you guys would love Minneapolis because it's very
Okay.
young and cool, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. It just sort of gets ignored.
It was good enough for Prince.
It was good.
No, it was very.
It's true. And Kirby Puckett.
And yes, I know that because of that Chris Rock bit.
Exactly. I thought you.
I know of two famous people from Minnesota because of Chris Rock, and that's it.
And now I guess Joe Mauer too. But
and Rash Madani's favorite football team.
the Vikings.
The Vikings.
Oh, yeah, he's a Vikings
obsessed
guy.
with them. Yes.
Poor guy. Every year it's going to be their year.
NFL banter.
Adam Thielen, am I right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say.
So we did mention last show that Antonio Brown might retire. By the way, right?
Yeah, we
Because
talked about
okay,
that today
I
on
did.
the,
I did want to. I did want to make that
Yeah.
thing. It was funny seeing Stephen A. Smith go off on him today. He's like, because he's, of course, it's like going into the NFL season. He's like, I was on vacation, but we're bringing it up anyway, because he wanted to talk about it.
And you brought it up like just before
It
it
started,
blew up.
yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it was that
taken off.
one initial set of tweets, and then it was funny because the initial guy, the guy from Sports Illustrated that we quoted, he was getting a pile of hate from Raider fans, and then Adam Schefter tweeted and backed him up, and everybody's like, "Oh, so this is for real? Like this is actually happening."
Did you see the Tom Brady quotes today?
No.
He doesn't like the helmet either.
So he was one of the 32 players who used the old helmets last year. 'cause
What
they
is
were
the helmet
grandfathered
made of?
in.
Strawberries, Tom?
And Tom Brady comes out and he says, I was in the last 4 Super Bowls with my old helmet, so it's going to take an adjustment, but I don't have a choice.
Oh, that's a great way of looking at
And
it.
he said he hasn't found a helmet he's comfortable with yet, but
No one said he had to like it,
yeah.
but he's like, well,
I think based on Tom Brady's eating habits, we can deduce that he might be a particular kind of guy.
I think he likes habits.
Yeah, and detail. Imagine they made Jack Eichel change anything.
forgot about that. That was nuts.
Sorry, Jack, you can't have that ham sandwich anymore. What the hell? I'm out of here.
You got to have 7 apples instead of 8.
Yeah.
Like if you're the team pest, going up
yeah.
against the Sabres, let's say in the playoffs, your job is just to like find Jack Eichel's route to work and screw with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your job happens before the arena.
That's a good point.
100%. Find out
Pull
where
the fire alarm at the local restaurant he goes to every day. Do something.
local restaurant. Find out like, well, what does he drink? What is it? I'll buy your whole stock.
Yeah, you know what I would do?
Oh, my.
I would close it down for a personal event. I would just rent the restaurant.
Yeah, literally.
Because you make enough money as an NHL player, you could do that.
Rent a Red Robin, like friggin' South Park, and just sorry, Jack, you can't go here. You just completely mess with his everything.
It would be great. Now, I do want to talk about a couple of things. One quote relates to Auston Matthews.
Interesting.
And it's one that we haven't talked about because, again, I was spreading our prep over a couple episodes here.
This is new, Auston Matthews
Relatively.
news?
It's newer than the Paul Fenton news, but it's August 6th news, and this is the 12th.
Hit me with the 4, Adam.
Well, you retweeted this, Steve, but it has to do with Auston Matthews and ice time and Mike Babcock. And then there's a part B to this. And it's from Matt Larkin from the Hockey News. Now, I couldn't find the full interview. It's apparently you can watch the whole thing in the next issue of the Hockey News, so shout out to them if you are a subscriber. And here's what Mike Babcock says. And this is, again, a quote that was taken on video, so remember that there might be a little nuance lost here. And I didn't remember that when I retweeted it angrily. But it said, I think each guy should manage his team the best way he can. But there's no question. I think he and John, as in Auston and John, to be as good as they're capable of being, should be right around the 19-minute mark per game. Some nights they're going to be 18. Some nights they're going to be 20. But that's where I think Austin's best for sure. He's an important part. I think he's earned the right over time as he's gotten better to earn more and more. A big part of the game is you earning what you get. Your teammates respect that, and Austin's done a real good job in that area. Now, the thing that hung people up...
It's heaped with praise.
Heaped with praise. The thing that hung people up was the amount of minutes Auston Matthews will be on the ice.
Yes.
The number 19?
Yes.
Not even John Tavares.
No, not even. But it's
probably
not,
should have also played more in games.
And what's interesting, I think, most about this is I don't think anybody can disagree with Mike Babcock on the regular season on that.
No, which I assume is what he's talking about.
I hope.
Why would he say, well, yeah, come playoff time, I'm going to play him 25 minutes a night? Unless it goes to triple overtime, and then you're going to play him 45 minutes? But just play him till the freaking wheels fall off. It's do or die, game 7. Like, is that what you were expecting, guys?
Well, maybe I was. But
I think I was the only person who didn't freak out about this, and it made me feel very concerned.
We're sensitive.
I understand. It made me realize how bad the PR around Mike Babcock is right now. No one trusts him to do anything.
Dom Lecision wrote back, 2007-2008, Zetterberg 2204, Datsuk 2123. No surprise that was his most successful season as a coach.
There it is. Well, because Red Wings fans were tweeting it like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Because supposedly, for the most part, he didn't ride those two as much as he should have. Even 21, 22. Like, is that regular season or playoff?
That was regular season. Those numbers that I quoted from Dom are regular season. And listen, I think if you are aiming to win the Stanley Cup, yes, you want your players to be healthy. You don't want to burn them out in the regular season. Totally get that. If that's truly the case, then maybe don't play Freddie Anderson all the time, but that's a different issue. Now, if you're worried about Auston Matthews and John Tavares is 29?
28 or 29.
And in peak physical condition, John Tavares. Like he
just came off the best season of his life.
He's in incredible shape. The guy's a gym rat. He eats like he is just hockey.
29 on September 20th.
Auston Matthews is 22 now. Going to be 22. This is going into his fourth season.
I think their birthdays are like a week apart.
Auston Matthews is 22 on September 17th.
There you
Maybe
go.
4 days apart.
So he's 22 going into this season.
Yeah, for hockey season purposes.
You're going to tell me that you can't play those guys 2 extra minutes a night?
Of course you can.
Sure.
But in the regular season, what's the point?
Winning.
Winning,
Also,
yes.
the most expensive hockey ticket in the league is the Toronto Maple Leafs. When I go,
yes,
who do I want to see?
The Leafs' strength. You want to see the
Paul
stars.
Marner,
Adam.
that's right. That's
Yes.
who I want to see. No, but in all honesty.
Yes, the Leafs' strength, though, of course you want to see the stars, but the Leafs' strength is they have more offensive weapons than you. They just have more.
Right.
They got Auston Matthews. They got John Tavares. They got Mitch Marner.
Nope.
They got William Nylander.
Yep.
They will have Mitch Marner.
Nope.
I'm talking
I'm
it
kidding.
into existence.
No, because the Vancouver Canucks are going to sign him.
Oh, very good.
Thank
they
you,
have
Howard.
Zach Hyman, before you laugh, 20-goal scorer. They got Andreas Janssen. They got Kasperi Kapanen. They got Trevor Moore. Their offense is better than yours. They hit you with wave after wave after wave. And over an 82-game regular season, you got John Tavares, who got a little banged up down the stretch. You got Auston Matthews, who's been hurt a couple times. One was a stiff hit, another was a freak accident where his own teammate dinged him in the head. How often do you see that? And accidents happen. It doesn't even need to be an injury-prone sort of thing. So over an 82-game regular season, we're not talking about benching the guy. We're talking about playing him 18 or 19 instead of 22.
Which is the right thing to do.
In January, I think is completely reasonable.
Especially because we know it'll be Tampa, Boston, Toronto again.
Oh, it's just friggin'.
We're definitely playing Boston, by the way. It's happening.
Would
It's
you
just
guys
gonna
not
happen.
Florida's
like
throwing
to
a monkey
see-
wrench in the division. I don't know.
Would you guys not like to see the Leafs adopt like a load management style with their team?
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think for me it's not what was said there. It's the history.
Yeah, but we can't. That's the playoffs though. Let's worry about that next year. He's talking about the regular season. If Auston Matthews plays 19 minutes during the regular season, then let's wait till game 1 of the playoffs.
But
I still want to see him more than that. But yeah, okay.
I almost feel like Babcock said it to wind us up on purpose.
Yeah.
Because this guy knows that the fan base literally just turned on him because of one game. It was, he's done other stuff to piss us off, like any coach will, but one game shattered our faith in this coach.
And rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But then he goes out and says that. I don't think he's winding us up. I just think he's that oblivious.
And he should be.
Like, oblivious?
He should be oblivious to us. He shouldn't be oblivious to the way he deployed people.
I agree with that.
I had a couple people in my
Mike Babcock
mentions.
should not be taking pointers from me.
No, but we had a couple people in my mentions going, well, hey, wait a second. What was he supposed to do? Keep Marner and Tavares and Matthews and all these guys on the ice for that long? I'm
Yes.
like, they have. What do? Well, you do Austin and Austin, Willie, and whoever they're playing with.
Yeah.
Janssen, Kapanen, whatever. And then you do. I guess they were playing Hyman. They probably shouldn't have been in that time. But then you roll out with the next line: Tavares, Marner, and say Janssen, and you play those two lines.
Yeah, and we're talking about Game 7.
Game 7, final 5 minutes.
You go till
You don't have
can't
a third-
go anymore.
we're
There's
stuck.
no tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're stuck
Yes.
there. Like, we as a fan base are stuck in that game.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and where else are we supposed to be?
Exactly.
That
in
5
December versus Montreal, Auston Matthews can play 19 minutes. He can play 18 minutes.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's I think an important thing. But that 5 minutes was the season.
Yeah.
Everything they did, every time they went to the gym, every meal they ate, every cookie they said no to, all of them went down to that last 5 minutes.
But
and that's where I'm sensitive as a fan.
As a fan base, you need to disassociate the last 5 minutes of Game 7 with a quote that comes out on August 6th.
But, Jesse, it was a traumatic experience. And you're asking people to just stop thinking about this trauma.
You know what would dispel all this shit? If anybody from the Leafs organization said, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore.
No, what's going to dispel that is you win a round next year. And that's something you got to just be patient. You got to just wait till
This is what kills me.
wait till April.
The
End of
Leafs-
April.
They literally cannot make this right until
Next April.
Yes.
April, when they have a chance
Right.
to make it right, potentially against the same friggin' guys.
Right.
Drives me nuts. And Leafs fans, while I have you, let's do something. All right? Let's not start hating Ilya Mikheyev before he even hits the ice.
Well, and here's the second part.
the guy has not played a game. He took a selfie with Mike Babcock.
This is what I was going to talk about, because Mike Babcock has been showing him around Toronto, and he's mentioned him several times in interviews, and they took a selfie at a gas station for some reason.
Yeah, he looks like Daniel Shifter.
Anyway,
I don't know who that is.
so basically everybody's
maker.
written him off already. Everybody's
filmmaker.
written this Mikheyev guy off already.
Yeah,
And he hasn't played yet.
Well, and people are like, oh, Babcock's going to play him 30 minutes a night, which is the sort of thing I would say jokingly. But you read it, like, people mean it. They think that's what's about to happen. Just because Babcock took him to the Egglicious down the street from the Leafs practice facility.
Is that what that is? Is that the Egglicious?
Yeah, he took him to like a greasy spoon down the street from the in sunny Etobicoke. Like poor Mikheyev, he comes to Toronto
And he's got to hang in South Etobicoke.
He can go anywhere. What kind of food do you want to eat? We have everything. And Babcock took him to, like, I've been there. I love it. This is not where I would.
My favorite.
Take my Russian prospect for a hot date.
By the way, at Juno the Leafs was the one with the tweet on that one. And actually, what I love is there's a guy named at One Fan Advantage. He actually follows us. I don't know if he's ever tweeted me before, but he tweeted at Juno back, and he said, "This is me and Mike Babcock at my friend's restaurant. I was so drunk I didn't flip my phone camera and took 2 photos of the bar before Mike flipped it for me. What a swell guy!" And he's got a picture with him.
Oh, fun.
Which is amazing. That's a funny story.
Bab's got the wide eyes. Oh, this guy's hammered. That's hilarious.
Anyway, you can see how maybe you understand. Listen, it doesn't have to be rational. Being a fan is not being rational. It's fanatic for a reason. But you can understand how maybe I would have been a little triggered by the 19-minute thing, and maybe a little more triggered by the fact that he's touring this guy around that we've never seen play. Oh. And by the way, I think from what I've read from Mikheyev that he's actually going to fit in quite well.
Well, what I love is basically no one talked about him. And like the video about Mikheyev on YouTube right now is when his agent Dan Milstein came on the radio with me, Scott MacArthur, and Justin Bourne. And I made a bit about like, oh yeah, so his agent says he's going to score 50 goals. That's wonderful. And oh no, that's not what I said. Oh yeah. So anyway, but how is he going to score 50 goals?
So was he funny about that?
He was funny about it. He had a Russian sense of humor about it and everything. But he talked very glowingly about Mikheyev, and he said, he said something along the lines of, "I'm very excited for Mikheyev to hit the ice, because then we can start negotiating his next contract."
Is that what Babcock said?
No, that's what Milstein said.
That's funny.
So Milstein obviously thinks this guy's going to make him a bunch of money, and I hope he does.
Oh,
because that means he's a great player.
That'd be great.
I would love it if Mikheyev was a great player. I would love that very much.
Maybe he's so good they signed him to a 7-year deal. And they traded him to Ottawa in 2024.
So it's a perfect storm of
Nikita Mikheyev.
And Babcock calls him Mickey. Calls him Mickey. But when you go into the corners, don't be a mouse there, Mickey.
Boo.
Hey, I'm the coach. You don't boo me. All right? How's that?
That's all right. I forgot. I got to lick your ass.
That's right.
If you don't get that, listen to the last episode.
Don't Igor Ozha go there.
How
dare you. No, so it's the perfect storm of Babcock just says this friggin' quote like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Has the selfie with Mikheyev.
Mm-hmm.
What's the only other thing we know about Mikheyev? A little snippet from a Steve Simmons article where he says that he heard the Leafs are thinking about starting Nylander, Matthews, Mikheyev.
And you know what? Nylander and Matthews on that line, it doesn't matter how good Mikheyev is.
Yeah.
Just get in the way. And that's not a slight against Zach Hyman, but I don't think Zach Hyman wouldn't be like, I'm the star of my line.
You talk about a player just doing his friggin' job and making the most of it.
He's the best of that.
Zach Hyman.
Yeah. And if Mikheyev could do essentially a second part of what Zach Hyman did, open up some room, get in the corners, get dirty, which is what we've heard Mikheyev can do, great. And then on the third line, you've got some version of Janssen, Kerfoot, Kapanen, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I hope Mikheyev is so good that he can hold that spot down, because that just pushes all the other assassins this team has down. Anyway, everyone give this guy a friggin' shot. He hasn't even hit the ice.
Can we just call it overreaction August? Any hockey news right now seems like the biggest hockey news, and it's really not.
Which brings us to Besser for Marner.
Which isn't news.
And a first or something.
Well, we should mention this, just because it was news today.
It was news.
No, we're going to do it.
Bring it up.
So, at @burger_bites.
Howard Berger.
What do we know about Howard Berger?
He was a member of the Fan when it first started.
He was on the Fan 590 for a long time.
1992 or 3. He's part of one of the most iconic viral videos of the Leafs' dark era, when Ron Wilson yelled at him. He said something, it makes me mad. Like, how I'm mad at you, Howard. Howard Berger, basically, Ron Wilson nabbed Jason Spezza, actually, for an illegal curve in a game after the Leafs had already been eliminated from the playoffs. And Berger basically said, why would Ron Wilson do that? Because now teams are going to know not to play within a legal curve or whatever. So when the games actually matter, yada, yada, yada. And basically Wilson got mad at him for calling his integrity into question. Berger hasn't worked for a mainstream outlet for quite some time.
Can I read a Toronto Star article about Howard Berger that was published last summer?
Sure.
Oh.
Howard Berger, the one-time Maple Leafs beat reporter, was telling a story about his new life outside of the sports business. At the drugstore not long ago, an acquaintance asked him how he'd been occupying his time. Berger, who hasn't filed a report to air on Toronto radio since 2011, explained that he had recently made a career transition. He's been working as a funeral director's assistant at a mortuary. The acquaintance looked at me and said, "That's got to be awfully depressing." As you can understand that reaction, because when you think of funerals, you think of death. The concept of death for most people is depressing, even though it's much of a part of life as being born. But Berger doesn't see his job in the same grim light, and then goes on to talk about his new life.
Also, everyone, he covered the 2011 Leafs. I would say he's got a happier job now than he had back then. The easy joke. I'm gonna leave now.
So we're taking this report from a funeral director's assistant.
Yeah. Now, Howard tweeted 2 days ago that the Canucks are considering an offer sheet for Mitch Marner and have talked to the Leafs about a trade involving Marner.
Fart.
Now, offer sheeting Mitch Marner is impossible for them because they have $5 million.
Yeah, they don't have enough money to get to keep Brock Besser.
Yeah. So the idea, I guess, is that the trade would involve Besser?
It could involve more pieces.
Would have to involve more
Besser
pieces.
Maybe Besser and Tanev and a first
I think
and
Besser's
a second.
very good.
And Uri Mikush. And sorry.
Yeah. Besser's very good. He's not Mitch Marner good. Now, and I think Canucks fans would agree with that. That's fair.
Yeah. Hey, I love Besser.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good player.
So the Canucks are considering an offer sheet for Mitch Marner and have talked to the Leafs about a trade involving Marner. Now, what that can mean, and I want you to really listen to this, have talked to the Leafs about a trade involving Marner. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
I want you to give me your house.
No.
I've talked with Steve.
I want to file a report about Adam Wilde talking to Steve about buying his house.
There it is.
There you go.
It's factual information.
Now, he followed that up with why Leafs coach Mike Babcock may only last 20 games this season.
Who said this? Berger?
What?
Yesterday. Yeah. Said if you talk to hockey people, as I try to do between working my funeral services as my day job, what I'm about to write is a common assessment. Mike Babcock needs a productive start with the Maple Leafs in October and November to remain as the club's head coach. And here's the quote. He's got 20 games, said a well-known figure in the National Hockey League. If the Leafs aren't playing up to par by mid-November, Babcock's gone. Count on it. There's lots of appetite for change in Toronto.
Am I Howard Berger's source?
Well, isn't that the same for any coach? Well,
get off their dog shit by that time that most coaches get fired to start the season.
You know, if the Leafs go 0-20, I think Babcock might be fired.
Maybe. That's right around mid-November is when we always go, hey, no one's been fired yet.
Interesting.
And then someone gets fired. Almost every year, except for that one time.
Do you remember 2018? When we went the entire season, except on the last day, someone got fired. But their season had ended.
What a dick move.
They played 82, yeah.
That was hilarious. Dude. Considering it... Here. I want to read you guys something. The other day, I was on the GO train. The GO train and me are not a good combination.
Okay.
Why?
Because sometimes when I'm on the train, I tweet. Purely out of boredom.
Yes,
Yeah.
I tweet for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're tweeting to just tweet.
Here's a tweet. Mitch Marner is an RFA. That's the tweet. Here, you want to hear another tweet? Braden Point is an RFA. That's the tweet. You want to hear another tweet?
Sure.
Mikko Rantanen is an RFA. That's the tweet. You want to hear another tweet?
Sure, yeah. I love
Matthew
tweets.
Tkachuk is an RFA. That's a tweet. You want to hear another tweet? Kyle Connor is an RFA. That's all I got. You want another tweet? Brock Besser is an RFA. Patrick Laine is an RFA. Travis Konechny is an RFA. Zach Werenski is an RFA, which I found out last week. It is wild that Zach Werenski is an RFA and nobody's talking about it. Colin White is an RFA. Kevin Fiala is an RFA. Anthony D'Angelo is an RFA. Charlie McAvoy is an RFA. And sneaky dirty. Adrian Kempe is an RFA. Anthony Beauvillier is an RFA. Nikolai Goldobin is an RFA. Ivan Provorov is an RFA. One offer sheet. Sebastian Aho. And it was garbage. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mourn the death of offer sheets. They're dead. You know, I've completely changed my mind on the Marner saga.
What was your initial opinion?
My initial opinion was, please God, let this be over now.
Uh-huh.
And believe me, if the Leafs sign him, I will be very happy.
Sure. I don't care what they sign him for at this point. Just sign him. Who cares?
I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there.
I don't care. I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, I just want him on my hockey team at this point. However, supposedly, all the RFAs that I just mentioned are waiting on Marner because they assume he's going to get the most, he's going to get overpaid. He'll set the market, which will set them all up. Now that the Leafs have done the David Clarkson deal and they can actually afford it, no. I want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. You all want to play this fucking game? You all want to play the... Are you meaning to tell me you are allowing the Toronto Maple Leafs to affect how you conduct business? Kyle, you have my permission as a Leaf fan to take this as long as you want. You have my permission to go to friggin' Christmas with Marner if you want.
It's funny.
Because... What?
Kyle Dubas just tweeted he's looking for Steve Dangle's permission to do it.
Whoa,
He did.
Yeah.
crazy.
Right after he
And
took a
now
picture
that-
with Becky Lynch.
And now that he's got it, you can go ahead.
Listen, I want it to be September 20th and have every other fan base just melting down because Brock Besser's not signed, Matthew Tkachuk's not signed, Andrew Mangiapane, another guy in the Flames. Hey, Kyle Connor and Patrick Laine, neither of them signed. What the hell are the Jets going to do this season? Colin White. Well, I mean, that would involve the Sens actually paying somebody some money. So I don't see that happening. Zach Werenski. It's okay. It's not like the Blue Jackets. It's not like the Blue Jackets lost anyone this offseason, right? Charlie McAvoy, is he important to the Bruins' success?
Yeah.
Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
He can't be. Braden Point.
It's not like...
You think the Lightning need him?
It's not like Columbus has like Columbus of all the teams you named has so much cap space. It's like they could just sign those guys tomorrow and be like, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Colorado with Rantanen. They have so much cap space.
Haven't signed him.
Haven't signed him.
Wonder why.
So, NHL, I regret to inform you that the Leafs are not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with us. And I hope Mitch Marner takes as long as possible.
So you're saying that because everybody's saying that Mitch Marner's going to set the market for some dumb reason. I don't know why they would let Mitch Marner set the market. If I am Braden Poit's agent, I'm setting the damn market. That's my client. I'm not waiting on Mitch Marner. If I'm Mikko Rantanen's agent, are you kidding me? I'm not going to let some winger in Toronto set the market. I'm freaking Mikko Rantanen's agent.
Wow.
No way.
Oh.
Good for you.
No way.
Wow.
That's a big 5%.
Listen, I'm just saying. The argument can and should be made that Rantanen is a more valuable player.
What?
Adam,
Is he not a center?
say things. Just say
No.
Oh, I thought he was a center.
No.
Point for sure.
Yes.
All
No,
I'm saying.
I like it. No. Mikko Rantanen is a center now.
I'm Darren Ferris, and this has
he
been my
plays-
podcast.
And he plays on a power play unit with Nikita Gusev on the right point.
All right, I had mine. But the point I'm trying to make here, the Braden point, is that Mitch Marner should not be setting the market this offseason. He's not the best player available.
I think what we're going to end up discovering is it's not some diabolical scheme, and it's just a bunch of hockey people who don't actually really know what they're doing. But I hope they're all waiting on Marner.
Because that means none of them will get signed
Let's
until
wait
December
this
1st.
It's also ridiculous to do that.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to capitulate. And guess what? I think it's going to be a player, and I think it's going to be when training camp hits, maybe a weekend, and all the other guys are going to be like, damn it! There's going to be a lot of Fs thrown around.
I think the Line deal gets done soon because I think it'll be a weird bridge deal. And I don't see that affecting the market.
I think what's going to happen is one guy's going to get done, one of the big names, and Line would be a big name, and everyone's going to run around like a chicken with their head cut off because it's the NHL, and that's how it works.
Right.
One of the big guys, one of the big, like 5 or 6, are going to sign, and it'll be off to the friggin' races. Also, for a few of those people on the list, Mitch Marner's setting the market. Nikolai Goldobin?
Yeah, no.
Nikolai
Same class.
Goldobin, are you kidding me?
Zach Werenski?
Zach's pretty good. But
Zach's a defenseman.
Okay.
What does that have to do with anything?
Shit about Mikko Rantanen. He had 87 points in 74 games last year.
Werenski.
No, Rantanen.
Oh, Rantanen.
I was like, I thought he had a great year.
Yeah, but I don't think we're not arguing that Mikko Rantanen's a better player than Mitch Marner.
Steve was.
You know what? Mikko Rantanen is a better player. So now we're all waiting
No,
for
that was
Mikko.
your argument.
Well, why not?
No, I'm changing it. I'm changing it. We're all
I
waiting on
think
Mikko now.
he's in that
scored
top.
at
He's in that top class, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's better at all.
He scored far more points on a far less good team.
Yeah.
All I'm saying.
All I'm saying is everyone is getting into a who can eat the last contest with a fat guy.
Now, do you think
And the
any
Leafs
of
are
the
the
guys?
fat guy, and they're going to be fine.
So
I want to see everyone else sweat.
I want to know how much Spencer Fu gets.
Wow.
RFA Spencer Fu of the Calgary Flames.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait for
Gotta
Marner to
wait
sign
for
to find out.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk is the guy that I think was mentioned recently.
Matthew.
Matthew. Excuse
Yes,
me.
yes.
Matthew Tkachuk. They were saying that what was it? He was wanting like $10 million or something like that. I think it was
Does he?
somebody. I think
good.
some reporter somewhere said
Good.
something like ridiculous. It was like a crazy amount of money.
Tkachuk
And-
had 77 points. He must be better than Mitch Marner.
Definitely. Oh,
Dude, what the fuck?
Flames fans, Canucks fans,
Am I
Jets
nuts?
fans, you want to get nuts? I hope this goes on as long as possible. You're
my
all
God.
boned. You're all boned. You want to get nuts? You want to do this? You want to let Darren Ferris run your lives?
He is. He's going to run it. Darren Ferris.
You
is
are
gonna-
in for a rude awakening, rest of the NHL. Oh, it's going to be good. I hope this takes forever. I hope Canadian Thanksgiving blows by us. American Thanksgiving with your 6-day weekend or whatever that nonsense is, Americans. I hope Marner's not in a Leaf jersey by then. I hope he's not. Hope we're still waiting. Still waiting for him to
we
put
will be.
pen to
But
paper.
Do you notice, in all honesty, that people are just sort of more relaxed about it?
Oh, because
We've been to war before.
Yeah.
I've been chewed out before.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'm
Question
starting to
that
not give a shit.
question that really only applies to me. I'm interested to see how NHL 20 handles it because what do they do when he's unsigned and he's on the team?
I think he's just under free agents. Or he might just be on the team. That's a good point.
He'll be on the
Is
team as
he-
an RFA, though, right? You have to re-sign. Is that your first order of business?
But like, if I go to play now and I just want to play with the Leafs, is he on the team? Because I didn't have 19 at the beginning of the last season with Nylander.
I think what happens is you start the game and one of your teammates sabotages it by pulling the goalie, and then you restart and try to find another game.
Steve's definitely not upset about that. Is this it happening
Is that how
online
you play
mode?
video games?
All the time.
Okay, your name is Steve Dangle on there. Do you think that they don't want to fuck with you?
No, I think they're just assholes fucking with whoever's in the game
I
with
think they're
them.
fucking with
I think
you.
it's you.
Do you think
believe
they
it.
don't know you?
Yeah.
Do you think they wouldn't know? They would have some general idea of who you are. Most people you're playing are going to be like, "Hey, that's Steve Dangle."
And you know
Let's
what?
fuck with him.
And you know what? It's gonna be even worse now that people know what bothers
Oh,
you.
it's going to be so good.
I play Red Dead now. You're screw all
know what
you.
we should
You can't
do?
play a single game online.
When Steve gets 20 and he starts playing online, I want a thread on our Reddit to show up of times I screwed with Steve Dangle and NHL 20. I want to know what you did. But you know, it'd be really funny if NHL 20 started with like if you were like be a GM mode. And it started with like you wanted to negotiate with Mitch Marner, and then just his agent says no.
Yeah.
Just no.
Okay. Set ticket prices. Set hot dog prices. Where's the alienate all my employees button? Where's the get hypersensitive about leaks button?
Oh.
What? They're on a mission to make this game as realistic as possible. Where's the fuck with YouTubers button?
Where's the secure line button? That's what I want to know.
I want to know where that is
really
also.
important. Really important.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all we got. But let's do a little press conference anyway.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
For today's, two things for today's press conference. One, a story from our good friend Typhoon Penez. On our Reddit page.
Okay.
That's his Reddit name. I'm sorry, I had to read it.
I think he made that on purpose.
No, he didn't. It was just an accident.
Jesse's silky voice. All right, Typhoon Penis.
He writes, recently saw Nathan McKinnon at a Subway. On his sub, he ordered mayo, mustard, ranch, and Chipotle Southwest sauce, all on one sub.
Attaboy.
What are your thoughts on this? That's from Typhoon Peanuts.
Well, I guess we know which kind of passes Nathan McKinnon likes. Sauce. You see, because the Steve Dangle podcast brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.
We'll have no more episodes after that.
name
too.
of the show
We're
is
toast
done.
now. We're done.
No, that's
They're taking us off the air. Even though we put ourselves on the air, we have to kick our own.
We're turning ourselves in.
We decided to end our own show because the jokes got so bad.
We had a good run.
Okay.
Steve
So what do
Dangle
you think of
podcast
this?
brought to you by Spit and Chicklets.
This
I think-
4 times sauce sub.
I think.
That's insane.
Well, first off, you don't need mayo if you're getting. What did he have? It was.
I'll read it
ranch?
again.
You don't
So-
need mayo if you got ranch.
Mayo ranch is
Mayo,
ridiculous.
mustard, ranch, and Chipotle Southwest.
So first off,
What flavor do you like, Nathan?
yeah, there's like there's like mayo and mustard together are amazing.
Yes.
Great combo.
Yeah.
Ranch
Nah.
doesn't need an augmented flavor unless it's hot sauce. You can put a little hot sauce on that.
Like, I would never put mustard and ranch. Those are two completely different things.
and then Chipotle, which
Chipotle!
I'm not even sure what Chipotle actually tastes like because every place I go it tastes different.
Yeah.
That is very fair, by the way.
Like you don't know, nobody knows what Chipotle is.
That
It's
is a
just
good
a thing
point.
that exists, and everybody's like, and it was cool for a while to be like, yeah, my favorite religion is Chipotle, and they put that in their Tinder bio in
I love
2012.
Chipotle. This tastes. You go to one place and this is Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Yeah.
You go to another place and this is liquid smoke. Like,
Yeah,
It's complete. I can see ranch and Chipotle working.
Sure.
I can see mustard and
Whatever Chipotle
mayo
happens to
working.
be at that particular restaurant.
Yeah, I can see mustard and mayo working. Although I'm less of a fan of that. All 4? Who hurt you? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with Nathan McKinnon? Did him and Jack Eichel just hang out and friggin' talk about their goofy meals? That's weird. No, I disapprove.
All right. And back to Chipotle. Chipotle, because people always refer to Chipotle as like, oh, I got Chipotle, and then you got a burrito. But Chipotle is actually a pepper. And then
That's right.
Some people are like, I got Chipotle sauce, but like Chipotle sauce not hot. But the actual Chipotle pepper is like a dried pepper that's really hot. And people get some sauce that's kind of creamy and tastes like a weird mayo
Yeah,
combination.
because the base of that sauce would be mayo.
Right, you're
right?
Salmon
making up
without
your
the
own
fish.
Chipotle.
And isn't
You're not,
the base
there's no Chipotle peppers in your damn Chipotle.
It's colored
It's also
like
a restaurant.
Chipotle pepper.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Hey,
Anyways.
can you give me some ready brown sauce? Like, that might as well be it.
Hang on, I'm looking something up here.
Chipotle recipes?
How to make ranch dressing. Okay, so
What
here's
is
the deal.
ranch?
Chipotle sauce,
Yeah.
its base is mayo. Ranch's base is mayo.
It's
yeah.
all just
so
mayo
he bought
stuff.
3 types of mayo and 1 mustard.
That's funny.
And by the way, mayo, real mayo, is made from eggs.
Yes.
So he just eggy mustard.
Hi, I would like eggs wrapped in bread. I would like eggs in various forms wrapped in bread.
You got a lot of eggs.
You got an egg salad sub with 4 different sauces, 3 of which are egg based. Who hurt you,
Mustard.
Nathan?
Yeah.
God.
There you go.
All right. Our next,
Do you want to achieve greatness? Eat like a friggin' weirdo.
our next
Travis Yost.
press conference question.
That guy's in shape.
The world's world's
But-
worst food takes. Still in shape.
Guy's
though.
in shape.
Yep. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Our
Sorry.
next press conference question comes from Graceful Shutdown. We're going to do trivia.
It's not graceful shutdown typhoon penis.
I wish.
By the way, new rule: everybody has to be.
if your Reddit name has penis in
or
it,
typhoon penis, it's your name plus typhoon penis.
Typhoon penis.
That's how we know you're a part of the Steve Dangle community. Wow, all the Reddit names on this page are really long and end in
This next
typhoon
one comes
penis.
from Earthquake Nuts. Oh my god.
no, so he didn't
sorry.
spell it like penis to be fair.
How did he spell
was
it?
Penis. So it was Peenz. Penis.
Peens?
Peens.
Peens.
Typhoon Peens.
That's even worse, man. Wow, okay, all right. Wow, this has been quite the couple of shows with the references.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get a really heartfelt message back. That's my actual name.
That's my last name.
Yeah, my father was Lieutenant
Mr.
Governor
Peens,
Peens.
we called him.
Lieutenant Governor Peens. Captain. Corporal.
He was the president of a local
Doctor.
company. President Beans, as we knew him.
No, Typhoon Peens.
Typhoon Beans.
Yeah.
Because he was such a force
Oh, he was just
in the community.
So, graceful shutdown.
He would storm over crime. Sorry.
We're gonna, the two of you can combine brains on this one.
Uh-oh.
30 questions.
What?
You're going to
Okay.
try and get the most you can out of 30. Well, 31 questions, 31 NHL teams now.
What is it, just like, who gets it first?
Who
Okay.
is the franchise leader in points?
Oh, my dear
We're
God.
going through
All time.
all 31, all time for each team.
Each team.
You guys
franchise
combine
leader-
your brains, come up with one answer, and we'll see how you do out of 31.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
what do we say is successful? Like you guys would win if you get 25?
16.
No.
Well,
that's-
16
that's
is a
pass.
fail. Or, sorry, a pass.
Yeah, you should do better than 16.
Oh,
I feel like with Steve, we should be at least in the 20s. I'm going to say 24.
24.
Wow.
Okay, 24 is the goal.
I'm less optimistic, but okay.
So you get
Set your goals high, not your holes guy.
Yeah.
Set
your goals high.
That's what I said.
Typhoon Beans.
Typhoon Peens.
Lieutenant Governor Typhoon Beans.
Corporal, Captain.
Corporal Captain.
All right.
Esquire.
Anaheim Ducks.
It's got to be Solani.
Paul Correa.
You guys got to pick one.
Paul Correa.
Okay, we'll go with Korea.
Steve was so
It was Solani!
Oh!
I knew it was Solani!
I thought it was a contest. No, so Adam, we're on the same team. I am not.
No.
We got
I don't want to be on your team anymore anyway. I'm keeping track. All right, let's go.
The first answer was Solani.
Oh my god.
Solani, really?
You're combining.
Right.
You're
Jesse's
together.
Adam.
Are you
Steve.
now it's a competition?
Now we're not
All right,
together.
now screw it. You got it wrong.
Jesse explained that we were on the same
I
team.
said it like 8 times.
I was lost in thought.
I don't think there's a single person listening to the show who didn't pick up that we were combining our brains.
I was thinking about the greatest Canadian I've ever known, Lieutenant Governor Peens.
Typhoon Beans to you.
Typhoon Beans.
All
Rear
right.
Admiral Typhoon Beans.
Now,
All right, now.
now I'm making a scorecard. And
I got it here.
Now
I
it's
got
a
it here.
You got it there? Okay,
Yeah,
now it's a
Adam, so that's
competition.
mark for Adam. Thank you.
Jesse is crying.
Steve wanted to do his own thing, apparently.
As opposed to what?
After explaining the rules.
It's okay.
Steve.
It was the first one.
All right, let's go.
Ooh. The Arizona Coyotes. Steve, who's your pick?
No.
You're going first.
Dale Howardchuk.
Adam.
Shane Doan.
2-0 for Adam.
Damn it. Shane Doan. Duh.
Adam, you're going first this time. The
Okay.
Boston Bruins.
Oh. Ray Bork.
I also say Ray Bork.
1 point each. Ray Bork. So what is that, Adam? 3-1, Adam. Mm-hmm. All right. Buffalo Sabres. Steve, you're first.
Pat LaFontaine.
Adam?
Guy from the 70s. They had to trade the pick with Vancouver. Gilbert
Perreault?
Perreault. So Gilbert Perreault is my pick.
4-1, Adam.
Wow. Damn.
Calgary Flames. Adam, you're up first.
Theo Fleury.
Jerome McGinley.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Was that 4-2?
4-2.
Yes.
4-2. The Carolina Hurricanes.
This would include Hartford, I would assume, right?
Steve, you're up first.
Yes. Pat Verbeek.
Ron Francis.
5-2, Adam.
Damn it! I was gonna say Ron Francis. Because he was a Penguin for so long. That
He
guy scored
was.
so many points.
But he was there. He was in Hartford forever before he was a Penguin,
in
right?
a high-scoring era too. Fuck.
Chicago Blackhawks. Adam's up first.
Denny Savard.
Steve?
Yeah, I see Danny Savard.
Nobody got it right.
Damn it.
It's Stan Mikita.
Shit! Should have known that with his freaking cannonball helmet.
Steve, you're up first.
I think I'm almost out of getting the 20s.
Steve, you're up first. No, now it's a competition.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember I had to set a number because you were combining your brains?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you remember that's why I was getting a number for you guys
I don't
to
know
get
what you
to? Because you had a goal?
I don't know what you mean.
Now it's head to head
know
because you
your
decided
name.
it that way?
to play us out. What does that mean?
That's great.
I don't know.
You're up first, Steve?
Yeah, sure.
Colorado Avalanche.
Joe Sakic.
Adam?
Oh!
No, you're locked in. Adam, who's your answer?
Shit! I know I'm wrong.
I'm trying to think of the
I can't change it.
No.
He hasn't answered yet.
change it. I don't care.
Peter Stastny.
Adam, who's your answer?
I was going to say Peter Stastny as well. However,
Oh no.
I'm concerned because Stastny was in the 80s, but he came in the mid 80s, and he had a 5 or 6 year run. Sakic was there a lot longer. It's got to be one of the two, right? One of us has got to be right. So I'm going to go Sakic on this one, and we'll see where that leaves us.
It was Jones. You're so bad. Oh, God. 6-2, Adam.
All right.
Columbus Blue Jackets. Adam, you're up first.
Ooh.
David Faborny!
Rick Nash.
Steve?
Yeah, gotta be Rick Nash.
Rick Nash.
Okay.
That's 7-3.
Yes.
Hey, I'm up to 3. Shit.
Dallas Stars. Steve?
Mike Modano.
I'm also
Adam?
going to say Mike Modano.
That's correct. Both. 8-4. Next up, Adam, the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, I think one Gordie Howe might be the guy that I would pick. But Steve Yzerman is close, but I think it's got to be Gordie Howe. I'm playing the odds on this one. Red Wings fans are like, how do you not know this? And you're probably right. I
Yeah,
should
it's
know
tough because Gordie Howe didn't spend his whole career there,
Yeah.
but he was so far ahead of everyone else. I'll say Gordie Howe.
You're both correct. Gordie Howe. That's 9-5.
That's great. I think Yzerman owns the record for most points by a guy who spent his whole career with one team. That team was the Detroit Red Wings. Fewer points
Then
with
Gordie
the Red
Howe.
Wings than Gordie Howe.
Yeah. Edmonton. Steve, you're up
Holy
first.
shit.
That's nuts.
Gretzky.
Adam.
Gretzky.
Yes. 10-6. Mm-hmm. Florida Panthers.
Ooh, that's a tough.
Adam, you're up first.
Florida's tough because it's been such a transient team,
No
right?
one sticks around.
No. So it's a matter of like, it's almost like this is attrition. This is going to be like a Mark Parrish or something weird,
It's
right?
gonna be someone dumb.
And I'm going to hate it. Now, like you would think your instant thought is, well, Pavel Bure, because he was great, but he was great for about 2 or 3 years there, and then I think his injuries kind of ended it. But he was on a tear when he was there. Another guy that I think of is Scott Mellenby.
He was there for a long time.
I'm trying to think
I know my answer, and it's really stupid. But
Okay. I am going to pick... I should be jumping... I'm going to pick Scott Mellenby, but I think I'm wrong.
this can't be right.
Uh-huh.
Ole Jokinen.
Correct answer is Ole Jokinen.
Wow!
Well
Nice
done.
pick, Steve. Well
Excellent.
What? Really?
Ole
Something
Jokinen.
dumb, right?
Wow.
How many?
Ole Jokinen, by the way, has the second lowest total on the list at 419 points.
Poor Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
People are like, hockey can never work in Florida. No, it just couldn't work because they were mismanaged for so long.
Right.
Florida absolutely works with
So what is that score?
That is 10-6. 7.
7. So 10 set. You're coming back, Steve.
Yeah.
All right. The Los Angeles Kings. Steve, you're up first.
Oh, friggin'.
When he answers, I know what he'll answer.
I'm completely blanking on the guy's name. Marcel Dion.
Adam,
I will also pick Marcel Dion.
you are both correct. Marcel Dion. 11-8.
You would think, though, with some of the names that went through there, people forget Yari Curry had some good years there. Luc Robitaille, Gretzky.
Gretzky.
You know, like,
Yeah.
Gretzky was the obvious, but
The Minnesota Wild. Adam, you're up first.
so I'm going to say
Oh, they were expansion.
Zach Parise.
Steven.
It's a bit of a risk.
Andrew Brunette.
Nobody got it correct.
Damn.
It is Mikko Koivu.
Wow, yeah, that was dumb.
Idiot.
Yeah, I feel bad about that.
Steve, Adam's
feel
favorite
really
team, the
dumb.
Montreal Canadiens. This is a hard one.
This is a hard one.
Yeah, so many great players.
I don't think it was Maurice Richard because it wasn't a very high scoring era, and they also didn't play a ton of games. It'd be someone from like the super teams. Guy Lafleur.
Adam.
I was also going to say Guy Lafleur, but I'm also thinking about like a Serge Savard or someone, or maybe an Henri Richard. He won 11 cups. I'm going to say Henri Richard,
Shit, I
and I'm
think he's
going to
right.
say that reserved. I feel like it's Lafleur, but I'll say Henri Richard.
It's 11-9. Steve is correct.
Whoa.
Guy Lafleur.
There you go. Well
Okay.
done.
Okay.
The Nashville Predators. This player's point total is actually lower than Olli Jokinen. No, it's not. Never mind. I was going to say, but never mind.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
thought it was never mind. Nashville Predators. Adam, you're up first.
Nashville Predators.
This is a difficult one.
This one might be, who was their first fucking draft
Yeah,
pick?
because when did they come in
what the
the
hell?
98,
David
97?
Legwand.
I am also going to say David Legwand.
David Legwand. Well done, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
12-10.
That's another one where I'm like, there's no way that's right.
Yeah, right? And I was like I remember like when unfortunately Greg Johnson passed and it was like I was like, oh yeah, he was the captain. I forgot.
Like their
And
leading
Andrew Burnett
scorer,
was picked by all of those teams somehow.
Yeah.
He played for all of them.
their leading scorer is someone I'm willing to bet a decent chunk of the audience has never heard of.
Yes.
Patrick. Oh, pfft. I already screwed that one up. New Jersey Devils was Patrick Elias.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll mark that one off as
All right. New York Islanders.
Oh, another tricky one. Is it my turn?
No, Adams first.
Okay.
Trottier.
Bossy.
Trottier.
Yes.
Oh, no!
Bossy had way more goals though. And if
Yeah.
he played longer, he absolutely would have been ahead.
That's
Yeah, he didn't play very long.
13-10 for Adam.
That's a fun one to look up. Look up Mike Bossy's hockey DB.
Outrageous stats.
50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, done.
Yeah, he played 7 years in a row, 50 goals, and then he was in his knee.
Unbelievable.
He's an unbelievable
Yeah.
player.
New York Rangers. Steve, you're up first.
That's a tough one.
Was Messier even a Ranger long enough? That's another team with a lot of turnover.
And a lot of
This
years
is a
of not
very
very
difficult
good.
one. Yeah.
A lot of years they were not good.
It's going to be someone from like the tickety years. I'll say Mess.
I'm going to say Andy Bathgate.
Whew. It's Rod Gilbert.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I would have
man.
never guessed that.
So still 13-10 for Adam. The Ottawa Senators. Adam, you're first.
Alfredson.
Gotta be Daniel Alfredson.
Alfredson.
Yeah.
14-11. The Philadelphia Flyers. Steve, you're up first.
Oh, damn. Bobby Clark?
Adam,
Bobby Clark.
don't think too hard about that one. It's Bobby Clark.
Yeah.
Next up, that's 15-12. Next up, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Has to be Mario Lemieux.
Mario.
Mario Lemieux.
Not well. No, you know what? I say not for long, but yeah, I don't know if Sid will ever catch him. It'd be pretty hard because that would put him in the top 5 scoring all time, wouldn't it?
No, because Lemieux didn't play enough games.
he
He
didn't
didn't
play
even
enough
make it to
games.
1,000 games.
That's another guy. Like Mike Bossy is underrated all time, right? Underrated NHL player all time. Lemieux, you can't overrate, you can't oversell how good he was.
Lemieux, out of any sport is one of the players, like, just athletics was robbed of.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
Absolutely unfair. It's
Lemieux
terrible.
had 17-23. Sidney Crosby currently has 12-16. So about 500 points away.
Oh, Crosby's going to have to play for a while. You know what?
500
He
points?
might do it.
Yeah.
He might do it. It depends how long he plays.
A couple more 100 points and then a few 70s.
It's like
whatever.
Ovechkin with Gretzky.
Yeah, the all time.
If it's just
It's a
up to him.
Longevity.
It's
up
the
to him.
attrition. Yeah.
San Jose Sharks.
Oh,
Adam,
this one's
you're up
not.
first. This is a difficult
So
one.
here's what I don't want to name the players I'm struggling with, but one of them was traded there, and one of them started there. And I'm going to go with Patrick Marleau because he started there. But there's another obvious answer, which is the guy he always played with.
My answer is Patrick Marleau, but if it's Joe Thornton, I'm just going to say a swear word.
It's Patrick Marleau.
okay.
Excellent.
All right, so that's 17-14.
That's correct.
And then next we have the St. Louis Blues. Steve, you're up first.
Oh, Brett Hull.
And I will also say Brett Hall.
Bernie Fedorenko?
Federico.
Federico? I've never heard of him.
Oh, Jesus.
What era did he play?
Late
80s?
70s, early
Late
80s.
70s,
Yeah,
80s?
he was 70s,
Oh.
80s guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny, eh? Brad Hall was so good for 5 or 6 years. Like, he had, what did he have, a 76 goal year or something like it, or even more?
Oh, he hit 80 twice, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was absurd.
The Tampa Bay Lightning. Adam, you're up first.
Ooh.
Marty St. Louis.
Steven?
Oh,
There's a lot you could go with there, but
damn. He was a Bolt for so long.
who are you gonna say now that I've locked my answer in?
I was going to say Vinny Lecavalier, but I feel like
Vinny
there
was
was-
good for a while too, though.
I want to say there was a story of he got passed. I got to have different answers from Adam.
No, you don't.
In order to make up ground. I'm going to say Vinny Lecavalier. And I see by your face that
It's
I'm right.
Marty St. Louis.
That, by the way, that is not a strategy.
No, I think the strategy is get the answer
No, but I
correct.
also thought I might be right.
Yeah, okay.
But I wasn't just like, you know what? It's not Gretzky.
That's like Paul Fenton going, you know what, analytics? I know you're all proven and stuff, but I'm going to trade Nino Niederreiter.
Is that 18-14?
How many are left?
That's what it looks like, yes.
5 left.
Not looking good, Chief.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Matt Sundin.
Adam?
Matt
Oh.
Sundin.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Tyler Bozak. No, what? It's Matt Sundin. Everybody got it
Like, I
right.
could have sworn I saw a group video somewhere. All right.
Vancouver Canucks. Adam, you're up first.
Bure.
Henrik Sedin.
Henrik
Oh, I'm an
Sedin.
idiot. What the fuck was I thinking? Wow.
My first
Wow.
answer was Marcus Naslund.
Yeah, that would
Oh, that would've been good, yeah.
Maybe at one point he was. I don't know.
It's Henrik.
Henry.
All right,
that
this
was
is-
dumb. What was I
This is
thinking?
a fun one. Steven, you're up
Well,
first.
your instinct is like older players.
Yeah, because of that
Right?
era, right?
Yeah,
That
and
insane.
it's all-time points. Right?
Yeah.
You just want longevity. This is a fun one. The Vegas Golden Knights. Steven,
that
you're
is
up first.
Jonathan Marchessault.
Adam.
I'm going to say William Karlsson.
William Karlsson. Well done.
Come on.
Because remember he had that crazy season?
I know, but how close are they?
Marshy had a good one, too.
I don't know who's in second, but William Karlsson has 134
Damn.
points. As a
It's got to be
Golden
Marchessault.
Knight. No, it was Karlsson.
No, I mean who's second.
Yeah, second.
Oh, yeah.
Second time, for sure.
Except
when it's not.
Except no.
Except you're wrong. Was that 20-16?
Yeah.
You've lost. But
Yeah.
we'll finish
Jeez,
with
I'm not even going to hit 20.
the Washington Capitals.
Ovi.
Ovi.
Ovi. Everyone's right. And Steven, you can go first on this one. The Winnipeg Jets.
Which would include the Thrashers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ilya Kovalchuk.
Adam.
Or maybe not.
I am going to say Blake Wheeler.
That's interesting. But it's Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah. All right, well.
That's interesting, but no.
Because he's been there
21
forever.
for Adam.
Blackjack.
18 for Steven.
Damn. I'm surprised.
Well done.
I'm surprised I got a passing grade.
Well done.
I'm pleased.
In a game that was not supposed to be a head-to-head competition, you lost.
In a game that I tripled in length because of my stupidity.
Hey, what do we say? Midsummer iceberg. You're in mid-season form, my friend.
No matter how hot it is outside, the iceberg always comes to play.
You know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you? Practice.
All right, so we'll be back. Wait, when are you going away? When are we back? When you go to
I
Florida?
think I'll be home for Monday,
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
Because I know
so
we have a
might
week
to
off
delay-
somewhere in here. I might not be. I'm
We might
not
have
sure.
to delay till Tuesday,
Yeah.
but we could do it
When do you leave? You leave Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We might take next week off because it
Oh.
might make sense to take next week off and
Marner's gonna
then
sign.
come back with a vengeance the following.
Marner's going to sign the second I land in Orlando.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh.
Now, if Marner does come back, we'll come back. But I think we should take next week off and do the final week of the summer leading into, we're going to have, at that point, I believe we'll have rookie camp to talk about.
The 26th, the week of the 26th?
Yeah, and then we'll have, we'll talk about paring down the roster. We'll have a whole bunch of things, so hockey season will kind of ramp up. So expect that. We probably won't have a show next week, but that the next show that we do have, there will be things to talk about.
And I will lick my wounds because I just lost.
God, those trivia questions are awesome. Please keep those coming. And thank you so much for listening. We know it's Midsummer SDP, and we really appreciate the fact that you're still coming, man. It's awesome.
How did they get Olli Jokinen and lose?
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.